The lights are up. The stage is set.
Let's go.
Greatness isn't born, it's built. Excellence doesn't appear, it's assembled. Champions are not manufactured, but over the next 3 days, they will be manifested in Kings Canyon. This is our stage, and this is where champions will be made. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. We are live from Krakow, Poland at the Alvernia Studios for the Apex Legends Preseason Invitational. My name is Bill Jump Carter, and I will be but one of your guides that will help bring you the action over the next 3 days. 80 teams from across the globe have descended upon us with one job in mind: become the Apex champion. With $500,000 on the line,
oh my God, let's fucking go!
Is being the last one standing when the dust settles. 240 players from 31 different countries are here with an opportunity to hoist the trophy above their head, walk away with the Leviathan's share of $500,000, and an opportunity to call themselves the Apex Legends Preseason Invitational Champion. The dropship is ready, and it is time to welcome to the stage the first 20 teams that will be dropping into Kings Canyon, eager to begin their
in office can't hear
Put your
anything.
hands up. Let's welcome them here now.
Oh, they made like booths for everyone. Okay, I see that. How do you know कौन किसका है?
3 days of competition, 3 days of non-stop action, non-stop frags, and non-stop opportunities for players to prove that they have what it takes. The independent variables are placed, the portal is charged, and the missile barrage, well, you know, it's on its way. It's time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's kick on the zip line and head on over to the analyst desk, where Fallout is standing by
ऐसे ही आएगा next season. पता नहीं भाई.
To get us into match number 1. Gentlemen and lady.
मेरे को goosebumps हो रहा है.
Thank you so much, Jump, and man, what an intro. Jump's one of the best hype mans in the business, that's for sure. Fallout here, joined back on the main desk and the analyst desk alongside Jamerson and Glitter Explosion. And boy, what a beautiful stage. The teams walking out, the players, the storylines,
luminosity,
the double elimination bracket, which I think my geeky esports self is most excited about. I think the stage is certainly set.
I mean, we got to see some of the opening ceremony during rehearsals.
Triumph, third impact,
the fire's going, everything is going there. It was so hype, and I'm so ready for this.
No headphones.
It's all the extra energy in the room. If you're watching
Team Liquid White. What? Team Liquid
White? There are a lot of serious mean mugs going on. I think they are ready to sit down and get into some of these games.
Yep, you see them on screen right now. Teams like Third Impact, perhaps Dark Horses, looking to make a name for themselves. And then we have some of the biggest organizations in esports and Fnatic, TSM and Co. that will be competing. But let's go ahead and jump right into the groups and start to break down the action. I want to ask you guys, groups A through D, we got 20 teams.
Team Liquid भी है, G2 भी है, Cloud9 भी है, सब है, सारी organizations.
The 10 teams obviously that place in
complexity, reciprocity.
The bottom 10 teams go to losers bracket.
Yes, Astral Esports.
I know I'm going to be looking out in Group A. I'm definitely looking out for Wyvern. Wyvern. I mean, I don't know how you feel about this. Like I said, I don't know, I'm feeling good about some of these South Korean teams, and I feel like Selly specifically is really, really strong, and I feel like they are kind of here, ready to prove something. You know, they've been doing very, very well for themselves online, and we have to take into consideration that they're doing that with 120 plus ping, right? You know, that's not what they're going to have to deal with here.
I would agree with you. I mean, Selly is one of those players that, like a lot of the other
players, Celio hai, Celio
apna,
South Korean
in the game. But of course, it's about transitioning from playing offline or from playing online to offline, coming here with 0 ping. So is that going to help them, or did the lag compensation help them out just a little bit in scrims? But I won't, you know, disagree with you. I think they are going to be moving on.
भाई दीदी है क्या? हाँ bro है.
Definitely do want to look at
इस round में नहीं है, NRG का ये round नहीं, इसमें TSM है.
Expecting to move on. Wyvern we're expecting to move on. One of the teams I'm looking at is actually Triumph. coming in. So we got Graceful, Vaneless, and they have a
group wise है,
sub
चार
for this
group
one.
है.
Evoke isn't able to play. He's going to
इस group में Dizzy नहीं है, चार groups होंगे.
So this is a squad that I've been watching for quite some time now.
तो Dizzy कब आएगा? आएगा bro, group B में आएगा.
To really try and make it into the top 10, push for that.
I like that. Perhaps some new heroes that will be developed in this tournament, Group A.
NRG
sports. Last-minute sub, you still think they can come out on top?
I definitely do, because you know when you're bringing in these subs, it's someone you
okay, bhai, thanks. कोई बात नहीं,
you're not just kind of scrambling for a last-minute sub at this point in the game. Like that has to be an eventuality that you've already worked out. So I'm thinking the third that they brought in is someone that they're already comfortable with.
Can I say, my man Jamerson with the bold predictions already? He's just dropping the mic here, proverbially. So there you go, dropping the pen on stage. I like the prediction. I like the thought process. And interesting to bring the Koreans into the mix. Of course, we have over 30 countries represented at this tournament. It doesn't seem like a preseason invitational. It seems more like a world championship. And of course, we're just getting started here with Apex Legends.
Snipe down किस team में था?
Which teams in Group B do you think we can look out for?
India की team है कोई नहीं. India को seat नहीं मिला. India Southeast Asia region में नहीं आता है.
Keep it with the Koreans. I like it.
Tell me I'm wrong, Jamerson.
I like it a lot. Again, it's another roster that like a lot of our players absolutely respect. They play with them all the time. You know, even though they're playing from Korea, they are going to be able to party up with them because you can easily switch servers in Apex Legends, which is one of the greatest things about this game. You just swap servers whenever you want. And so they do play. There's a rapport amongst them. They're very friendly. They all love each other, these players, especially with the MVP squad. And they are definitely
MVP squad भी है.
Scarier teams to worry about. One team
rank game में हम लोग खेलते हैं उनके against. Celio, MVP.
Sonics. There we go. I got it out. Yeah.
मतलब खेलते क्या मरते हैं हम लोग.
These are players that a lot of people are familiar with if you watch Apex streams. So you got Synced, Android, Dream, Wicked play very frequently with Shroud, but overall, you know, they do have a high level understanding of the game. They actually just know how to play the game. So I expect them to be able to do some amazing things in this first round.
Sonics and MVP, keeping with the Korean theme here. I like it. Again, that's a big storyline in general. We have 5 teams coming from Asia, 3 coming from South Korea. They are known to play incredibly aggressive, W key style, in your face, on 150 plus ping. Imagine what they can do on LAN. On the flip side, though, do you think there's an argument to be said of, are they going to play the same way? Are there nerves in play here? Have they competed in an Apex tournament? Well, they're not a ton of experience in that front. Do you think that might cost them?
Well,
वही देख रहा था.
They do have a background in other games.
क्या देख रहा था
Liquid basically actually talking about every single player that we have here. They have a background where most of them have competed on LAN.
मदारी इतना racist है
ना
यार.
Outside of the box to think that, you know, they should be able to adjust well. Of course, Apex Legends is a different game, and there are some players that didn't have as good LAN performances back in different games. When we were talking about Selly, he had a run in Overwatch where even though he mostly played on LAN, the performance wasn't quite there. The results weren't quite there.
I've seen multiple times before in various BR titles, really in any esport, where a team performs a certain way online, comes to LAN and doesn't play to their core.
This is Poland tournament, 500K.
Maybe they decide to slow play at game 1 to test the waters a little bit. Well, there's only 3 matches that you have to place and to make it in that top 10, so we'll see if that comes into effect here.
Yeah, I think that you're going to see a lot of the teams play very conservatively, especially the ones that have already participated in X Games.
क्या हो रहा है अभी? कुछ नहीं, अभी टीम्स आके बैठी हैं, अब स्टार्ट होगा, मैप लोड हो रहा होगा.
How, you know, what the playing field is actually doing, and
lobby बन रहा होगा.
Hopefully inform their future gameplay for games 2 and 3, whether they do well and they can kind of stay a little bit more conservative, play safer, kind of just make sure that they kind of ensure their winner's bracket position, or if it ends up going poorly, they might have to switch something up to kind of really.
You guys can hear the stream correctly, right?
Hear the scary thing though, because we saw during X Games that teams were actually pretty slow to make adjustmits, right? Changing up their drop zones. It took them from going from day 1 to day 2. If we
can you not use full cap?
NRG, CLG, they made a quick swap
just
like they got taken down by Alliance and Slums in game 2.
Yep.
But then they went to Artie over and over again.
Will Shroud play? No, Shroud is not a professional Apex Legends player.
And they weren't able to make their adjustments until day 2. Today
Thanks,
we have
Liquido.
that time. Right, we're playing
what's up?
It's over for your first round.
Yeah, we also have, that's a very good point. We'll see if that can play effect and make a difference here in this one. Of course, players are now on stage, getting ready. They just sat down, as you saw there. So they're getting peripherals ready, getting ready to go here, getting warmed up, locked in and loaded. So we'll have game 1 and Group A matches starting soon. Of course, in addition to some of the teams you guys mentioned, you have teams like Alliance, you have Complexity, you have Fnatic NA, all in Group A. So
Hope next year you may go. Shroud is only an entertaining.
Some great individual players.
What's up, bro? Neend mein watching.
Muffins the brothers can do in Fnatic NA. I got a lot of love for those guys, but we'll see if they can repeat their top 4 performance in the past. Let's keep walking through the groups here, though. Jumping into Group C.
Yeah, Shroud is an entertaining streamer. He's Shiv FPS कोई organization नहीं है क्या? नहीं नकली. Shiv FPS is not in any organization.
You know, playing with Tempo at X Games now. He's got his team with him here, and I want to see some wild sniper shots coming out of him.
I want to see. मैं क्या देखना चाहता हूँ, right? कि जो छोटे teams हैं, right, जिनको कोई नहीं जानता, वो यहाँ कुछ करके दिखाए, like बड़ी-बड़ी teams के against. G2 है, you know, TSM के against.
And so we'll see if Temple Storm can have the same performance that they had at X Games, or will they perform better now that they have the full squad?
So can we just get some popcorn on the desk?
Yeah, right? I mean,
that's all I want to do.
You just watch the gameplay. Do we have to keep talking the way we're doing this? I just want to enjoy the gameplay, because let me tell you, it's going to be good action here in a bit. I like the swag here from K-Star.
What's up? Nothing, dude. I'm so excited. 13 minutes. 27. Oh, sorry, that's local time.
And they're ready to go. Of course, a few teams representing South America as well here in Group A. Interesting insight about Group C. A lot of people have been saying Group C is kind of the group of death. Very difficult group to kind of get out of. A lot of top teams. Nagano 1998, a team I'm looking out for as a potential dark horse as well.
Nexus is better than Shiv. No way. Abhi, how do someone make it to this?
Well, okay.
Bro, this was invitational. So the only players who were invited are going. There was no qualifier.
I think at X Games they had a huge opportunity to make it into the top 4, but there were a few games where they just weren't able to.
You won't get copyright for this. I don't give a fuck about
not contested over a huge dropping ground, right? They did a high desert bunker and
danger, because
no one contested.
You know, when I say I do it, bro.
But they weren't able to.
Reply what? Will TSM do you mean Diego will play?
I feel like this is their
No. TSM means TSM Imperial Hall, Alberali, and TSM Reps. जो X Games जीता था रेश.
Taking home a nice $4,000 a piece.
Oh, I'm so excited. Start होने वाला है.
Outside of TSM, I'm actually kind of excited to see what Echo Fox can pull out.
Hashtag Indian
They have a lot of previous BR experience and a ton of different BR games. They're all really good players, and I want to see what they can bring to the table.
X Games winner, gold medalist.
They can come out on top in Group D, at least in winners bracket round.
Huge respect. It's Albra Neleli.
They're smiling.
Oh my God, danger! Nobody likes to be an, get correct. Abhi is a man of made of steel. NRG squad में कौन खेलेगा? NRG More, NRG Asu, NRG.
You are such a good fanboy for Fnatic.
We shared a plane ride.
So good at this.
But I'm TSM fanboy.
I know a little bit about those guys. They're good people. That's what matters the most. But we'll stay unbiased here. We're just excited for some good action.
I mean, for me, like I've been.
देखो phone नहीं रखने मिल रहा है.
Really long time. We were talking about players.
Because you can watch the stream on phone and you can know where the location of everyone.
I think we've all kind of.
TSM invited you? What? Why would TSM invite me?
Because he's a consummate competitor. He has played in everything: League of Legends, Overwatch, and now here he is in Apex Legends.
TSM जीता तो TSM fan ठीक है भाई. अच्छा ठीक है भाई. मैं explain नहीं करना चाहता भाई. Danger तेरे को. जब TSM की जो professional team थी उनको कोई नहीं जानता था. सिर्फ Diego Suarez, Base, Real Crafty ये लोग को जानते थे. तो मैं TSM के professional players का stream देखता था. ठीक है. उनकी 10 watching और 20 watching आती थी Twitch. Explain me right now. Explain me right now what? I'm not gonna. I don't have to explain to you anything.
It's a little bit different, but basically right there, that's where.
I have seen their scrims, their practice schedule, how they practice everything. Energy squad 2 up, Energy squad 2 up in TSM's
OP. I know I was talking to Snipe Down last week at the Halo Classic tournament. He participated.
Energy team too famous.
And he was saying, look,
overrated.
A lot of the FPS players, they play aggressive.
TSM fan here, haha, let's go.
Whereas a lot of the Overwatch players, they're so good in team fights because that's really all.
Energy OP, bro. Okay, bro. देखते हैं कौन जीतता है Energy and TSM.
Rather than kind of taking those traditional flank routes. So that's one of those.
Yeah, South Korea, dude. TSM plays ranks different and tournament. TSM even plays scrims different.
And before this, trying to decide in our personal
Fnatic.
humble opinion, that if we saw that BR was a better
Dizzy and
foundation
Asu for the
or
win.
a
Okay, buddy.
foundation.
Dekhte
And I think we came to a pretty
You mean in
fair
terms of background,
stalemate.
your
Yeah,
background.
in terms of competitive background.
H1, you got
Definitely,
Fortnite, you got some other
definitely.
VR games that people came from.
Yeah, but like here, I think, you know, it kind of breaks down to there's different philosophies, right? If you're coming from a BR background, macro orientation is a bit more in your heavy focus, while if you're coming from something like Overwatch, you have the team fight mechanics like you had mentioned, right? Making sure you're keeping track of cooldowns and positioning and stuff like that.
अपनी टूर्नामेंट में तू नहीं खेलेगा क्या? नहीं
Third,
लिक्विड
fourth, and fifth partied. It's just
Me
like
no
3v3,
team.
and you have half the cooldowns that you really have to worry about.
Yeah, and luckily for us, these incredibly talented players are all here on stage playing Apex now, and boy, they're excited. We're
मेरे
locked
पास
in.
टीम
We're
नहीं
excited
है.
to go here as
बॉस
Group A is
टीम में
getting
क्या
ready
श्राउड
to
को
get
बुलाया है?
underway. And again, the variety of backgrounds,
नहीं, I
the
don't know
diversity
anything
in
about
teams,
boss
diversity
team.
in talent as well. I mentioned it earlier, but we have talent really from all across different titles, different
I'm
backgrounds.
just
all
doing
coming
management
here
stuff.
today, and I think it's one of the best amalgamations of talent I've seen before to match the amalgamation of players. You see 0-0 on screen right now. Another player who has made
0-0.
his name in other titles, looking to do the same thing here in Apex Legends at 23 years old. I know we got Gabe from Complexity, 25 years old, comes from the H1 scene as well. Complexity, another team with high expectations coming in.
Absolutely, and I think that they are one of the teams with BR backgrounds.
Ooh.
That are really prepared to do well because they know what they're getting themselves into. This is like their third title playing it, playing a BR game, you know? Like they're
इब्रान लिलिया आया है क्या?
They're bringing in a Mirko. That's going to be their third, by the way. And, you know, I did follow Mirko for about the last year. A lot
नहीं
of the,
bro,
Bangkok
अभी
players that
वो
make the
उनका
transition
राउंड
over
2
to
में है
Apex
शायद.
Legends.
अजय,
And so
this
seeing a
is
lot of
group
them
A.
being able to find a foundation
Group A,
here makes me
Group
really
B, Group
glad,
C, Group
especially
D,
Mirko, you know,
4
they
group
dropped
है.
from Rogue a few months
गरीबों का
ago.
मसीहा
He has found a
Nexus.
new home, and he's going to be able to compete
When
here
is
and show
Group
off
B
what he
match?
has.
Group A के बाद, of course, Lamau.
Team I really want to highlight and talk about. Second place with Snipe Down under the Reciprocity banner at their last event. They just got picked up by G2.
हम लोग
Representing a
Twitch नहीं
great
देख पाते.
organization now. The boys from Finland looking to do it and looking to continue their success.
Thank you,
Without
Nexus.
Snipe
अरे
Down,
अरे
they
अरे
made the
ठीक है
decision,
भाई,
as mentioned
इतना
earlier,
नहीं.
to actually go with
I'm
their
just
original
glad कि you
teammate,
guys
their
are
Finnish
watching
teammate
with
that
me.
they have chemistry with.
मैं
they play
अकेले नहीं
with
देखना चाहता
instead of
टूर्नामेंट.
Snipe Down,
अकेले
now
देखने
playing
में
with
मजा
the
नहीं
whole
आता.
Cloud9 roster.
Abrelia
Continue their success
is one
here
of the
top three,
best
top
paths
four
in the world.
finishes.
He
Yeah,
is
that's
the best
something that a lot
path
of
in the
people
world.
don't realize is that the competitive Apex scene really kicked off basically as soon as the game launched, right? We had that surprise
And is it
launch
too?
in
Okay.
February. We're like, hey, we got a new game for you guys. Oh, it's the best game in the world. It's going to have 40 million players within the first month. But instantly, within a week, there was a Discord set up where teams were already forming. We were getting, you know, Q snipes.
अबे ये कितना बोलेगा? Bro, उसको बोलने का पैसा मिलता है गुड्डू भाई.
Into a lobby pretty consistently.
Crazy.
And these are some of the players. If we're looking at G2, Conquer, they've been around for so long in this scene as this lineup. And this is the roster that
देखो
we're
उसका
really
कंप्यूटर
looking at to
में
be able to
पॉइंट
challenge
खुल
someone
गया, वो
like a
ठीक कर रहा है.
TSM, reigning champions.
So now I know you're a really big fan of G2. How do you feel, or do you think that it's potentially a factor that has to be considered when you have to go against your most recent teammates? In
चलो
the very
देखते हैं
next tournament
नार्डी
that you're
जीतेगा या
playing?
TSM
I
में
understand that, right? Like, if you're looking at G2 versus Snipe Down, right? The thing is, I think
नहीं
at
नहीं,
this
Dizzy
point,
best
G2
Pathfinder
have
नहीं
a
है.
better fundamental understanding of what Snipe Down could bring to
देखो,
the table, right?
being
'Cause it's
best
two
in
brains
a
versus one
in a
at this point.
character
Was he
doesn't
able
mean
to
you're
say
best
all
in
of
the
them
game,
True
right?
opposite scenario, but that's a good point. Yeah,
It
that's a
just
good
means
point.
that you are very
Luckily
good
for
mechanically
G2,
with
luckily
one
for
character.
us, Snipe Down's in Group C.
ये देखो,
We
ये
won't
बोल रहा है,
see that
देखो ये मेरा
matchup take
Instagram
place
में मेरे
until
को
later.
follow
They
करो
can
इस
breathe
पे.
a little bit as we're going to see
सब अपना
the
अपना काम
return
करवा रहा
of
है.
the two former teammates battling each other once again. If they both make it to the championship finals or the winners bracket semifinal, sorry.
अरे every
as,
time
of course, the
someone
winners, in case you weren't
says
aware, the top 10 teams
Alberelli,
from Group A
they
and the top 10
write the
teams from
name
Group B will then
incorrectly.
play each other with the 20
Wait,
team
I'm gonna
three-match
go to
series in
Twitter.
winners bracket
No, I
round
can't
2.
open Twitter.
And of
It's
course,
like
the
a-
same thing. Top 10 teams for Group C, top 10 teams from Group D will play in winners bracket round 2 on the other side of that winners bracket. Bottom 10 teams then go to the losers bracket to compete against one another for another life here. And of course, it is not just the main stream that you guys are watching right now. We also have a secondary stream with a full broadcast, casters, matches, a secondary stage going
Dude,
on
Dizzy
as
has nothing
well,
to
so
do
you
with
won't
Pathfinder.
miss
It just is
any
just
of the
because
action. In
you
fact,
want
I
to
believe
escape
those
and he has
matches
a
are already
firepower which
underway
is so yes.
as we staggered the
I
matches
mean,
to make
Pathfinder
sure that we get a
is
chance
necessary
to
in a
always
team
be
right now
on
in the
top
meta.
of our game with gameplay here. What a brilliant setup.
I mean,
अभी उसका
definitely, I
नाम
wish,
copy
you know,
paste
we
कर
could
दूंगा.
actually just bring it all to you all from one stream. But hey,
Bhai, if
this
Apex
is the
don't
only
have
way we can
custom
do it.
rules, then
There's
how
so
do
much
they play
Apex Legends
together?
going on that we have to split
Dude,
it
this is
amongst
a
the two
LAN. Of
streams.
course they have
But I
custom
think that there
rules.
actually will be a point
They have
where
custom
we
servers.
kinda get to
They
jump in
haven't
and check it out.
provided
A little
custom
bit, so I'm
servers to
excited
the
for that because, like, I
public,
wanna
to the
see what's going on on
masses.
those-
This is
on
like
those
the
stages.
MCU crossover
समझे हरेश?
universe thing, right? Yeah.
अगर तुम server
Crossing
hosting है
obviously
तुम
multiple
किसी
different
game
games,
के लिए of
teams,
course server rent
players,
पे
and
लेते हो,
personalities and
so
heroes,
you
but
get
also
private
streams
servers.
and main
Server
stages,
custom
that's for
servers
sure.
is
So
not something
Group
you
B
buy.
action will be underway.
Companies
Sorry,
already have.
Stream
It's
B
just
action will be
traffic
underway,
control.
and
Custom
we'll
servers
be
is
throwing that
traffic
gameplay
control.
throughout the
That's
entire
it.
weekend in addition to the full
So
live
they
stream.
haven't
We also
provided
got
it
the
to the
command center,
masses,
we'll be
but
jumping
this is
into
LAN,
gameplay
their
across
own
the board,
tournament. Of course
breaking
they will
things
do
down
that.
in addition to our casters and our talent. But for now,
Abra ने
let's
ले
talk about
ली.
our talent. Let's talk a little bit more about the players and get to know some
किसकी
teams in
डाबरा
this
की?
tournament.
पोलैंड के बाद आएगा ऐसा बोल रहे हैं. हाँ, बोल रूमर तो चल रहा था. How to become one of the best Epic player in the world?
Consistent aim, good movement, rotate in time.
Just work hard and practice.
सुनो सुनो
Focus on
सुनो.
rotations,
सब पूछते हैं ना
don't
कैसे
take
अच्छा
careless
बने.
fights, and just focus.
Play a lot.
Play a lot.
I'd say to become the best, you just need to play as consistent as possible and make sure you're having perfect practice.
Play as much as you can and focus on improving.
Yeah, they're all young.
Very consistent. You have to put in the hours, put in the work, and
He's
as hard as
19.
it seems, just keep going on.
최고의 에임과 상황 판단 능력이 필요합니다.
A good aim and situation
In
assist.
the world, you got to devote all your time to the game. Your social life will take a hit.
Never
Yeah.
give up.
Your social
work hard
life
in
will
game,
take
work
a
hard
hit.
out of
That's
game,
why I played
have a good
morning to
personality.
night like this game.
Put a lot of time into it. Put a lot of time into the game.
Yes.
Try to find out how to outplay your opponent. A lot of dedication, grinding, and yeah.
Become one of the best, you definitely have to put the time in. But, you know, you have to be grinding the game, 6 to 8 hours a day, as most pros usually do. And you just have to have the will to never give up. And yeah.
ひたすら集中して練習すること。
By watching Asu's stream.
By watching it.
You need to learn from yourself. You need to watch your replays and be critical with you.
It's just all practice, honestly. There's not a lot of shortcuts you can take. Just practice, practice.
Play the game a lot.
TSM reps. Hey, that was Dizzy. Yes? Are you guys excited?
Boot camp and scrims.
Just basic deathmatch warm-ups and playing ranked with teammates.
We sleep a lot and we play a lot and we don't do anything else.
We
Practice
sleep a
just
lot
by,
and we play a lot and we don't do
playing
anything else.
scrims with the other best teams in the world, just playing as much as possible.
We play scrims for 4 hours a day. Definitely try to relax, think about other stuff, play other games, and just keep my mind clear.
오로지 게임만 했습니다. Only game.
Play a lot, scrim with my team, do what I need to stay healthy.
Gotta have the right mindset. Going into the tournament is really hard. So play a lot. That's how I do it.
We show up to all of the scrims and we watch our VODs and we watch VODs of other teams and we just make sure we're as prepared as we can.
We scrim every day. Me and my team. Ace and Ben, we scrim every day. We for around at least 4 hours, and we practice rotation.
I don't know what
practice
Kanta.
late game, practice fighting, all that, and to prepare for tournaments.
Leading up to the tournaments, we play scrims, or short for scrimmages, which is basically practice against all the other pro teams pretty much 7 days a week for 4 hours.
大会の前は、みんなで集まってカフェで集まってみんなで1週間ぐらい泊まってやってました。
ありがとうございます。
By warming up on some form of aim training. Some people like to use CS:GO. Some people like to use Kovacs. It's just like a good way to get your hands warm.
I just play Kovacs, and that's all.
We play scrims against other pro players for every day of the week.
Scrimming every day and playing like 8 hours a day.
Scrims plus 8 hours. That's 12 hours a day. Apex Legends. New server क्या scene है? I don't know.
Loot ups and play safe, then we rotate into zone. Just take it.
Scrims कैसे होता है? हम भी करवाएंगे scrims. टेंशन मत लो. सबको अभी तुम लोग को जिनका टीम बना है सबको हम कॉल्स वॉइस कॉल देंगे और scrims होस्ट करेगा Nexus अभी होस्ट करेगा टेंशन मत लो.
Determined.
공격적인 거.
Hold W.
Longboard rally.
Bigger brain than everyone.
Aggressive.
Aggressive but cautious.
ひたすら前に出て戦い続けること。
Just to fight offensively.
Aggressive and fast.
Very aggressive.
Smart and aggressive.
Well, safe to
Let's
say,
go!
Confidence from any of these players. Also, the knowledge of playing the game to win. I like some of that insight there as well. But always good to hear the stories.
I used to do
from the players.
जब हम Smite खेलते थे तो हमारा 6 घंटे का scrims होता था 3 घंटे सुबह 3 घंटे रात को और जो सुबह और रात के बीच में हम रात वाले और सुबह वाले स्क्रिम्स का प्रैक्टिस करते थे कि हम क्या स्ट्रेटजी खेलेंगे स्क्रिम्स में क्या खेलेंगे कैसे खेलेंगे कैसे रोटेशन करेंगे लाइक एक एक चीज एकदम कॉपी पेस्ट होता था जैसे तुम आंसर याद करके जाते हो ना एकदम वैसे कि हम यही रोटेशन लेंगे यही जिप लाइन से जाएंगे इसी तरीके से घूमेंगे ऐसे
preparation for this weekend or at least this first day of play, and it's more about adaptability.
Absolutely, and this is something that you and I have talked about a few times because, like you said, we do have information on, the X Games teams, or at least, previous relatively similar information, right? And
game start karo please.
And how they've been running from the people that at least streamed them a little.
आंसर की बात ना करो तो ठीक है अच्छा ठीक है
information for, so there is a very real possibility that some of these teams will get dropped on.
Raps is also my favorite player.
Play against yet, and that is either, a really aggressive and good start for that team, or it could be potential disaster. I did get a chance to talk to a couple of the players here and there, but some of them seem really ready to be dropped on. They're actually kind of welcoming that pressure.
Hey, pick up some kills early, get some points early, get rolling in a match, you get better loot perhaps in that scenario. Not a bad situation to either drop down or drop near, win some early game fights and game momentum like the insight. Meanwhile, Jamerson for President 2020, as he gave the most politically correct answer you could possibly imagine. You don't know what you don't know, and we'll see, but I want you to give me some real, which teams are...
Watson only for tournament? Yes, Watson. Watson for like money tournament, not for kill race. Like if it's a server, right, and you're playing for the win, then you have to have a Watson.
They dropped in containment, and it doesn't.
His voice in game is off.
And there are a few teams that might actually contest them there because we have heard.
Welcome, Surendra.
About, hey,
what's up?
They dropped on our spot. Why are they dropping?
Raps is a support, right? Yes.
I always find that hilarious, by the way, in VRs when players treat the map like real estate that they purchased. I landed here and planted my Fnatic NA flag. You are not allowed to drop here. No, that's not how it works. And that's one thing about Fnatic's playstyle is they don't like to really engage in those early fights. They really would prefer to loot up, early rotate, hard rotate center circle, and instead maybe leveraging a Pathfinder, stay alive, and play for late game. If they get dropped on, do you think they can perform under that pressure?
I do. I think that they're actually incredibly confident in their drop, so that in the event
Nobody,
that happen,
मैं एक बार बताता हूँ, Battle Royale का यही uniqueness है,
right? But specifically if we're talking about Fnatic, I think they're prepared.
That हर tournament में same team नहीं जीत सकती because इतना सारा factors होता है Battle Royale.
Here because we just want to see so much gameplay instead of the safe,
best legend that should be in a team.
Just one wild game.
Bro, Wraith.
I think you guys want to see some gameplay and drops as well. Let us know in the chat as hopefully we see some spicy early game here, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Like in these early games, there are ways that you can actually try to minimize the risks. Sometimes you can go for a very risky drop. Like, let's go ahead and take containment, right? Because we were talking about it earlier. You can try to also get very greedy, take the north watchtower, also go for the connector towards the southwest side of it. Or do you stay really contained within containment and just make sure that you're basically within an arm's length reach of all your teammates just in case you get dropped on? And so I think that's the only difference that we're going to see coming out from Fnatic. Are they going to go for a wider spread over containment or just keep it very balled up and
top
close?
3 legend in a team.
Breaks down, of course, containment means fight some early fights early, drops like market, you can rotate over into river. And
देखो कोई भी टीम जीते कोई भी टीम हारे, right? Remember that जो 80 टीम आई है Poland, right? वो इसीलिए आई है because they are best of the best.
And guess what? Speaking of action, it's time. We are locked in and ready. The players are now ready to go. We are about to get set for our first match of the Apex Legends Preseason Invitational. It's Group A. The players are ready, and some of the best casters in the scene are ready as well. Bravo, Dreadnought. Take it away, gentlemen.
Fallout, far too kind. Thank you so much. We're down here on the floor. Bravo alongside Dreadnought. Dread, you and I have been waiting for this moment for a long time. The players have, the whole Apex community has. And I think the desk alluded to it so well.
Pathfinder या Watson या Mirage etc. नहीं.
You and I have spent the past few days just
Mirage तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं. Mirage तो waste.
And as a guy who likes to know about pretty much everything that I possibly can before entering,
अरे साला और दो बुड़बक. What do you mean?
we're going to get so many answers.
Wraith और Pathfinder तो तुमको चाहिए टीम में, right? और एक rotation के लिए, right? और एक तुमको character चाहिए जिससे तुम कोई हर hold करो और लोग तुमको push नहीं करते. So of course Watson. There is a Caustic is an option, but Caustic का hitbox. Okay. The game has started, boys.
Dollars on the line, and we're kicking things off here. Taking a look at G2 as they get ready to drop in.
Alrighty, something to know here is just the angle at which we get over the dropship itself, coming from the very northeastern angle all the way there to the southwest.
G2
like
Sports
G2 has some interest here, maybe going over towards that Skull Town. Is it in fact is the ping?
And this is exciting, of course. If you did watch the X Games, those kind of parts of the map and the POIs were carved out. Teams had a little bit of a gentleman's agreement as to where they were going with 80 teams. That's essentially out the window here. Looking to see if G2 has anyone else flying in with those free looks, and I don't think we saw too many other teams and trails coming into Skulltown.
नहीं आते, ज़्यादा लोग नहीं आते टूर्नामेंट में इसके लिए. नहीं रैंक में भी नहीं आते.
That's a great place. So much loot available over Skulltown itself here. So great start for G2, but we got to figure out, where did everybody else go?
Yeah, let's go ahead and check in with the command center, guys. What are you seeing over there across drops across the board?
Yeah,
oh, nice. Peacekeeper.
And already Blaze teams dropping all over the place, settling down.
He has a decent loot for starting.
Gambit visiting Shrek over in the swamps. We got Luminosity.
G2 के पास अच्छा loot है. Hello?
What you got?
कौन?
अरे हीट.
हाँ बोलो.
अरे स्लॉट है क्या?
ब्रो मैं खेल नहीं रहा, मैं टूर्नामेंट देख रहा हूँ. मेरी स्ट्रीम पे आ जा. पोलैंड लैंड चल रहा है.
So nothing new there, but we're going to give it back to you guys to bring the action. We'll let you know if anything else happens.
Thanks so much, Blaze and Nate. Great to get a look here across the map to know if there's any early action. We can keep track of that.
Oh, now I'll just watch no chat. Okay. मैं भी देख.
Of course, they did their containment drop. The desk glitter talking about how confident they are in that drop, but they got out quick. Already looting at High Desert, already at Connector right away. I mean, they dropped containment, but they are claiming a lot more of the map than just the containment area itself.
Yes, but that little button that we just saw here from Spirit come up on your screen, hitting the end, the circle is so very relevant for Fnatic. We heard it from the analyst desk before. It's something I talked about.
कितना दूर गिरा ये टीम से, अपने टीम से.
Rotates early towards those circles, and they're very good at defending and getting placement. So much so, a fact you actually gave me over about Fnatic. They placed 4th at X Games with no 10-kill game. The only roster to be able to do that, and that is because they are so placement focus.
Absolutely. Huge shout out to the guys at Wikipedia for Apex. I mean, amazing numbers there. If you do want to catch up on those X Games results and specifically the types of placements and kills that these teams that are here, whether they have the same rosters or not, absolutely check that out.
So many hemlock.
Of course, on all things, including drop locations and the stats that we saw there. And very interesting. I think those numbers, Dread, tell a lot about Fnatic's playstyle. It's not simply that they didn't have
nobody has died. Hey, Selly. Korean team, apna South Korean team.
We're expecting to see some of that here again.
And I think their interview, we even got a good example of that. When the Fnatic roster was asked, what do they do to be one of those better players? They said a bigger brain than everyone. You can tell that they were trying to approach things with
fight start ho gaya.
Level here, but for our first skirmish happening pretty centered here.
They're not fighting, they're running.
Losing both armors on Tashin and Nook here. Nook being the newest member of the roster. Gonna go ahead and Watson up. And should get enough breathing room here for them to be able to heal up and see if they counter-initiate.
Absolutely. Of course, Bunker Town, potential for some early engagements. And we've seen a lot of Watsoning up here at River Center and Bunker Town, and we're going to expect to see a lot of that here this weekend, which, Dread, brings us to a great point. Keep in mind here, we only have 3 games to play for each round.
Okay.
Now, as they mentioned on the desk, that was across 12 games of play and 2 days.
I have no idea, Danger. But Afek क्यों नहीं खेल
What we've heard from them, getting a chance to talk with them over the past few days here in Krakow, is that some teams are thinking, we can play it a little bit slow. And I think you and I were talking about, you've only got 3 games.
अब ये लोग इतना ही लूट पे खेलेंगे पूरा मैच.
The mentality for so many of these players is just don't get bottom 10. Well, bottom 10 here.
Let's go ahead and check in now with a Fame here. Kabitsky now flying in, does get some great shots with that 99. Actually rocking a double 99. Take a look at that.
देखो rush नहीं. Oh.
Instant knock there. That's a bad time. And the fact that we already had Wraith there in the middle of the void, his perspective looks like might be a thirst opportunity there. Wraith going to opt out of it here for now.
Absolutely. Now shots still coming in. No more knockdown left. Yes, indeed. And will be limbed there, so now go back on board with Nook on the north side. Like you
एक
said,
बंदा मरा,
Nook
okay.
is a sub on that team, so far they're going to be happy with that result.
And it's very important to note that there are now 3 teams here skirmishing with this kind of corridor. One in that house, that's where you saw Nook, his box, that golden one sitting on the lower right. Another team making the transition through the golden sands. See the back end of a portal there?
Absolutely. Now as we see, just popping some wingman shots over here in the other building and just going to wait up. And like we said, this is the type of play we expected to see, especially when we are around here. Like we said, at Bunker Town, teams are going to be watching up. Generally, to be honest, avoiding these types of conflicts if they can. 20 squads remaining, of course, there's a whole lot of game to play. And if you've been watching competitive Apex so far, you know that this early game, generally, we could head into several rings later with something like 16, 17, even 18 squads remaining in the match. So these teams are going to be
मैं Twitch पे चलाने का try करता हूँ.
You heard in the player interviews is teams are playing conservatively aggressive. They're going to jump on the opportunities. They want to play those smart, but largely they do not want to take these big risks, especially when we're talking about game 1 in the tournament.
Yeah, they're searching for the term controlled aggression or calculated on their favor. But we were talking a little bit before about not wanting to get to that. It is in your best interest to test those waters as soon as you can in this series. So by
got the interceptors up as well. They're on the rooftops and they're starting to lay down those fences. We do hear some shots.
I don't think Twitch चलेगा. Nah. Back to YouTube, I guess.
Sample of full Watsoning up here. You have seen that complexity has moved into containment. We got the interceptors up as well. They're on the rooftops.
नहीं चल रहा bro, नहीं चल रहा.
Twitch नहीं चल रहा. Shots in the distance as well as we take a look here.
Oh, it's a G7 scout. What the fuck?
Some good long range options here. We see 2 longbows as well as a scout. And of course a peacekeeper in play as well. Now some pings coming through.
Oh my god, nobody has died, dude.
very well kitted shot coming out from the scout here up in the upper right. Nothing going to connect. For now, it's just going to be poking and prodding and testing the waters, but you can see Krollo here still struggling as he's already gone down, or excuse me, a Thame as the roster, but Krollo has already been removed. We did see him go down earlier, and these teams, they're just going to be slow and steady, chipping away with those longbows.
And we're going to keep an eye on Krollo, of course, being
So, देखो, मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ? ठीक है? इतना ज़्यादा competitive है, ठीक है? कि 20 out of 20 teams alive हैं, right? First round खत्म होने के बाद.
This kind of distance across the map south to try to finish there. Even for example, that 104, as you just saw come through with that longbow. You know, they're going to look for a little more pokes if the other team gets greedy, but we have to assume.
This is the land meta, dude.
That they're not going to fly across.
And one thing that I really like about complexity, though, when we were talking about their loadout, is the double longbow into the G7.
Everyone,
if you're going to play this,
no one's going to take a single risk.
You need to make sure that your resources are working in your favor. If everyone bears a longbow, then you only have so much heavy ammo to your resources. But being able to split that long-range initiation and poking through both light ammo and heavy ammo is drastically going to help the resource battle for complexity as this game moves on.
Right, and especially as we talk about the importance right now, given the current meta and the speed of the game and the speed of engagements, so important that these teams are not just team shooting and shooting together, but it is the timing of those knocks. And like you said, having weapons with those different rate of fires, but the same range is what's going to make them able to get that first key knock and give them a little bit of a push.
A little awkward.
Lamao, ये टकरा गया उससे. No, it's not about camp. It's about why should I, like, why fight when winning is the main.
You see those kind of whiff on by, and for a moment there with the crouch. Oh my gosh, so close here. You already see the Watson of this roster taking so much damage that I feel like it's unlikely that they
Gambit के पास सारा purple है, holy shit. वो किसी ने respawn किया.
In caves. Absolutely, of course, on this high ground, they're going to want to hold that. They're going to look for a few more shots, maybe get some damage, but looks like maybe even pinging here to move further south. We'll see if they're going to go head there, but of course they're comfortable. And like we said, this is the type of gameplay dread that overall
everybody has Watson. Same. Wraith, Pathfinder, Watson.
Through this tournament, of course, teams are going to need to step it up. But the great thing that we can look forward to
एक और respawn हुआ.
Is the fact that just because we're playing like this in game number 1, when we start to see some points on the board and standings come through for games 2 and 3, it is going to force different play styles. It's even going to force new drops, different aggression, and that's when things are really going to get exciting.
मेरे को तो देखना है वो जो Japanese player और Korean player बोल रहे थे we fight aggressively, वो सब कहाँ है?
Fnatic roster. And I think some people might be saying, why are you talking about Fnatic so much as an entire group here? And the answer is they are the pillar of consistency of anything here in the Apex Legends scene so far. And because of that, we kind of use them as a constant benchmark. Yeah. But if that roster fails to be able to get the points that they want out of those placements, they'll eventually have to be far more aggressive, which again is not necessarily within their natural instincts. And Chipsy here with eyes on the portal exit, trying to watch that.
This is actually a good place because of the wall.
A pretty good position here, just given the elevation that top bunker will provide them. It looks like we did
कस्टम रूम कब आएगी Apex में पता नहीं ऋषिकेश आई होप पोलैंड इंग्लैंड के बाद आ जाए ब्रो राउंड 3 स्टार्ट होने वाला है लेकिन कोई मरा ही नहीं है वही तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ ब्रो सो मच कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस सब कोई रिस्क नहीं लेना चाहता एवरीबॉडी वांट्स टू गेट दैट विन
armor, you have
why fight and get third party
early, right? Get into those positions because there's no way you're pushing out a ring and getting into those areas when you're going to be at a huge armor disadvantage.
It's so interesting too because that comes off at the trade-off of if you're trying to make those rotations early to be able to deal with that, you're going to have less probability of finding better armor than you already had. Maybe go for those outer rotations, but then you ask yourself, are you running into somebody's main drop? The Luminosity on the backside of the bunker, though, I think is a grand position for them considering our circle. It's essentially built a safety dome, a little bubble, if you will, which I think is apt here in Poland, considering our venue. But now we're taking a glance here over.
Oh, it's the bunker.
High ground advantage over whoever seems to be attempting to ascend post.
ये बहुत खतरनाक सर्कल है.
Really in the best position right now. You see, they have moved out of cage here, but they are on a pretty clear ring edge and not where you want to be at this point. Engaging here, wingman shots do go down. It looks like they're going to push this advantage as well.
Yeah, they're trying to get all the way up to confirm one of these knocks after landing 1 to 2 wingmen. Jay Savage questioning if he wants to maybe go a little bit farther here. Looks like the answer is just going to be peek and remain a little bit patient. It's very important to highlight that we are now nearing round 3, and we already sit in a situation where no team has been removed yet. Every squad still alive here at the Apex Preseason Invitational.
And I think that's what anyone who did catch a lot of the X games and game.
But like round 3 तक बहुत change हो जाएगा play style क्योंकि फिर points जिनके जिस team का points कम रहेगा round 1 में वो aggressive खेलना start कर देगी kills के लिए.
Coming across destroyed bridges up this exact way, coming to the west.
Yes.
Up that is a large task to say the absolute least. Those shots coming in here from the side of Wyvern as we're on board with the party.
Only 43 ammo hai.
Repping the flat line, a weapon that I think we're going to see
Parka.
a bit of throughout the entirety of this weekend, but it's low when looking at the ammunition front, not so much in the mag, but the 43 on the side. Just looking to get a couple deterrent shots there.
Yep.
But the high ground still sitting in the favor. Wyvern's a roster. We already heard it on the analyst test. This is one that I'm really looking for.
Okay, तो इन्हीं के पास 2 kill है. परखा के पास 2 kill है.
It's going to be very telling because they have really made a name for themselves. The question is now that we're all on land, all on the same ping, same server, can they clutch it out with a way that some of us maybe expect?
Yep, deciding to actually move back. They're moving back from Hillside Outpost up back to farm, so must have gotten a call out, a reason to circle back away from the ring, but now on board with Gambit, who's found themselves in an engagement as well here.
They're in a very bad position. Keep in mind, they've got 14-second timer to make it through this choke, and it's not looking like it's easy.
Oh, you and I have talked a lot about this choke. This is one of the few points
great thermite.
Few points here, the way you have to get out of a triple choke, and they are in between a rock and a hard place. They'll need to push up here. Some good shots though on the side, and they will get that first knock here as they continue to push.
Oh, it's a purple armor. It's white लग रहा था मेरे को.
Losing the armor, but it looks like they got the knocks.
Oh, पहली team गई, EST गई.
Entirety of the kills there. And that is going to be enough to not only remove our very first squad here in our game, but more importantly, really show that at least positioning and now resource-wise.
Korean team का एक बंदा down, eliminated.
As they go down there, that's our first team full wiped here in our match number 1. That's going to be Eldegor Pistillo.
Oh, Slime colorblind.
Who will be our first eliminated from the event.
G2 though find themselves, it seems like a couple of tangos. Questioning if they're below. The thermite grenade thrown between those cracks. Right now, distributing a couple of warning shots to whoever may be out in the distance. To connect with one. It doesn't look like there's
एक गोली और please.
Also focus fire coming out from the team.
Come on, G2.
Who was ever on the receiving end of these shots is with us much longer here, Bravo.
I don't think so. There's no way they're getting out of this as long as we do see the guys on
G2 down
shots also looking for that elimination on that player as well. This is going to be
देख रहे हो push नहीं कर रहे हैं खत्म
way to navigate out of here, and unless I think there's a miracle coming, they're not going to be able to do it. Let's see this team shot here from G2.
They're being rather slow here with questioning if they want to push. questioning is the arc star, the
वो arc star नहीं waste करना चाह रहा.
To risk their positioning for some of the resources, and to be honest, how desperate their positioning makes it questionable.
Looks like 0-0 has found himself someone downstairs. Peacekeeper in hand tries to get that. It's also choked, so that's going to hit real hard when it does, and he has some help from Red as well.
Red taking a very bad trade, but ends up committing all the way down below.
Oh no!
Actually getting punished here in the 1v3 push, trying to get the split pressure from two different angles, but it may have been biting off more than they can chew.
Yeah, you got to wonder, maybe a lack of coordination there to lose that one.
Oh!
Player is knocked as well. That's coming in from.
Why not use your portal?
We actually saw Joey Black out there from Chaos hit that knock on 0-0 with that longbow. So what we thought was a pretty good position here for G2 now is Red with no shield.
I think we have the answer as to why they didn't want to push out. Turns out everybody is looking at G2 pinched now in what feels like the center of the map. 40 seconds remain before they have to get themselves out of here, and with so many around them, I can't but feel like that is a optimistic perspective if they are going to aim for that.
Oh no, look downstairs here. That's going to be Joey Blackout. Then yes, indeed, I believe we're still going to see Red get that knock, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, indeed, Red does that. He becomes the kill leader with 3 kills, is getting the revive as well. So G2 finds themselves getting out of jail.
And think about if that kill happens any later. The amount of time it's going to take them to be able to heal up and restore is so long that they would have
Parka!
So great play.
Parka has 7 ammo.
Wyvern on the back end though. Selly showing why he is one of the favorites of this tournament.
Oh boy, and look at that. The longbow, the Peacekeeper does come in there to get the knock with 55, and that's going to be in a limb as well. We talked about Selly as just how talented he is mechanically. Certainly, you know, conversations we've had with players, a lot of people put him in the top 5 of the most mechanically talented players here at
Basta.
I find it very, very interesting as a guy with a MOBA background to watch how these Korean teams are willing to perform, because they are very, very good in that avenue. But complexity here with the high ground advantage over the center of the map. We saw them earlier, but they are now struggling. Already down to 1 member, Reptar out. Mirko has managed to get out without the armor, but gave his mom losing his cube.
Oh!
The 301 right into the face and gets the knock on the Spirit.
Also grabs the beacon there. You see he's going to fly across. Great use of that Q to fly right in and land those 301 shots. I don't know if he missed a bullet there, as he has that real tight and is able to get that as well. Now we also see some action.
Sound is low, bro. Okay.
In the kill feed. We'll keep an eye on that, as well as Muffins takes a double knock of his own.
Well done by Muffins, and it's very important to note there from Gabe Isman that he actually backtracked on the back end of that Q to make sure he got that skirmish, because if he kept walking, he was essentially signing his own death note. Very heads up play coming out from them, and now here Love Gaming down below.
Let's start to talk about this final ring, Dread, where we are. We're right outside of bunker here. Really River Center, and I will say, based on this ring location, I think it's safe to say that this game has been at a much faster pace than almost every game we saw.
गाड़ी के पीछे छुपा हुआ है.
Definitely at a faster pace here, and with the 13 people
अरे गाड़ी के पीछे छुपा हुआ था वो.
remaining, this is going to get very tense as we break that 50-second threshold. Also, I want to keep in mind, whoever ended up winning that battle on the backside of bunker that we tuned in the mid game, if they've somehow managed to control Luminosity the entirety of this, they're in a pretty good position to dictate some of the decisions made on the back half of this circle.
Here's Crank up top. He gets a ton of damage taken in there, so has to queue out. And now it looks like they also have Bunker Watsoned up, and there's a small fortress that they have here at Bunker.
And again, this is because of the victory that Luminosity got on the back end with that circle. I was talking, they built a dominion of safety, and they used it great.
Look at Wyvern, some great shots here coming out of Carampe. Now taking a look across. They're in an okay position here, but they're going to need to relocate.
30 people in this circle, oh my god!
River and how generally
these
across there, the team at the bunker is going to have the ability to just circle back if they need to. So expect Luminosity to continue holding that ground down at bunker.
I love the team shot focus attempt here from Wyvern as well. Throwing a few more out there at the distance house. Now two back in with Fnatic finding themselves a couple of tangos here. Nice spray coming out. If he doesn't get that knock, he's already going to go down. The Wraith actually iframed, risked his own positioning and lost that shield.
Has to pop a bat. You saw all that damage and that team shot that's coming in from Luminosity over at bunker, and now with that ring closing in, they're going to have to move. You see Spirit flying in as well. Going to heal up.
Oh my god, 27 people in this last circle, what the fuck?
This is the best view we've had of maybe a 10 squads left fight, as everyone is now converging on Bunker Town.
But the positioning advantage is now sitting in favor of Fame. The fact that they control this upper hand, they have the Watson down. No grenades are going to be a major threat for them. They can defend, they can hold, as long as they don't risk their positioning or peek out too long.
They need to be, I mean, Fame has claimed a single generator here that they're all hiding behind. They do need to be careful indeed. Of course, with that Watson ult up, they don't have to worry about grenades popping in. Now back on board with Spirit, who's continually having to heal. As look at those shots coming in from bottom bunker. They have the high ground, but they're not going to be able to hold this for too long. Look how open they are. But it's important to note that if Fnatic push it towards the circle, they're going to be pinched.
Oh my God.
Thame. But look at this on the other side. The Thame has been pressured so heavily by Luminosity that it's not even going to matter. Fnatic is in a very, very tough moment here. They have some of the hardest decisions to make out of this final circle, but Luminosity boys need to find a way out.
And talk about a team that looks a little bit better shield and health-wise. That's going to be Wyvern. Look at them right here. They've got the nice angle. This is where you want to be. They've got a rooftop with full cover, and this piping here also.
Korean team मार के फाड़ती
And the best
सबको.
thing about this final circle is there's not going to be too many opportunities for a final zipline. Some of the trees will
Korean
enable
team
that.
के
We'll
पास
see if
गोली
anybody
नहीं है.
tries to take advantage of that. But for now, Wyvern really feel like they control.
ओ
this
इनका घर
round
सर्कल
six
में है.
circle. Nobody can really make their
इनका
way
घर
in here.
सर्कल
Look
में
at
है.
Fnatic Shiny just holding on to a
नहीं
miracle
है
here, the
सर्कल
last
में.
member alive on his squad.
Let's keep in mind, of course, playing for both placings and points. But
हाँ, है
let's go back
circle
to
में,
Wyvern
नहीं.
here. As you see, they're starting to Watson up the roof. They've also got digital threats. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Karampe has a digital threat on his wingman and on his peacekeeper, which is also choked. So they are in a great position here for the late game.
Ring closing, and this is when things are going to really start to get heavy here. Wyvern has a positional advantage here, but they need to make
इनका
sure they
पूरा
get
squad
the
alive है
shots
और
out.
इनके
They
पास
force
बहुत
themselves
advantage
to
है.
an iframe top right there. You see the wingman.
Dead.
Wait, that's an easy knock.
You're
5
dead.
squads now remain.
Asia number 1. Oh. Oh.
Peacekeeper, and he's going to establish balance there and easily get another knock. Now 4 here as Wyvern seem like they are just unstoppable, Bravo.
They really
Korea
are. It's great
number
to see them here.
1.
They were one of the teams we talked about in the desk, one of the teams we've been talking about this week. And you got to be careful. Every time you back into that ring, you're getting a 25% tick here. So they cannot be too careful, as they have to make sure that their edges, that their backs are not too close to the edge of that ring. 4 squads left here, and look at the size of this. You have to think that right across this edge is going to be a battle at any moment.
We can assume that Fnatic ended up getting picked off at some point there. Look at Crank, my goodness. Almost no HP there. The med kit confirms we'll end up going for a res opportunity. 16 on that, but I'm not sure that Wyvern is going to be merciful here once this finishes.
Absolutely not. It's a dangerous place to be, and you got to think that there's going to be some action bottom of that shack as well. Maybe at Bunker Town. We don't have an eye on exactly where all 4 squads are just left. We'll continue taking a look.
We need to start considering who is going to have a Wraith alive over this next circle and who is going to have their ultimate available, because if they have the portal, that is a massive Hail Mary that is almost necessary there for Crank and Luminosity, as they are still being chipped at
and that's
by
a
Wyvern.
good chip. Take a look at this.
Yeah, and they also keep in mind that Wyvern probably hasn't been forced to use the Wraith portal because they've had positioning advantage, which means it's likely a resource for the final circle.
And LG is still trying to chip away in this 2v3, and some great shots coming out of the ult there for Crank. Look at his shields, though. Not a whole lot to play with, and you have to think, if Wyvern starts to hit a team shot, which is what they're about to push in and try to do, it's going to get dangerous here. And you talked about this. This is the portal thread that you're talking about, that you expect to see a lot of this in the late game.
And it's very important to trace it as long as you possibly can, because it buys time. As you can see there, for every second he self-traces, but Karampe struggling on the back end of that.
I think he got dinged and also backed into the ring at the exact same time.
Yeah, talk about unlucky, but when you walk the line that closely,
Okay, तो ये zone खेलने वाले हैं.
Now can we
Okay, zone
see
खेलने वाले हैं. लड़ाई नहीं
provide
करने वाले.
enough breathing room to get that res, or is the circle now closing too problematic?
And let's go ahead and take a look now. JP2 and Crank, no shields for either of them. They got to fight in. Let's see if Crank can stay alive. It looks like he's trying to fight through. He will go down. That's going to be it. And now back over to Wyvern. 2 squads remaining here in the game.
Wyvern have the upper hand. They have the portal timer. You can see them taking it, not taking any of the damage. They have 1 person left. Finally into the circle. They're trying to get the kill. Selly goes down. Barca goes down. No, they went out of the circle. Oh my goodness. They ended up losing HSL. Clutch it out because of the sidestep out. What?
A 1v3, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to see the tape on the analyst desk.
Holy
HSL
shit.
in a come-from-behind win against Wyvern.
They stepped outside the portal together. The portal has a cooldown timer, and it's out on that final circle. The tick damage so high that it wasn't enough to survive post that skirmish. And by the time they made it back, nobody damaged HSL enough. There was a 1-man band.
So unbelievable moments there. You saw HSL, the rush, as we take a look at exactly who it was. It was Krems on HSL.
I want to see.
He's the Wraith. Of course, HSL, a team hailing from Croatia, Sweden, Finland. They've got some it's a whole sorts of talent on that team, but it's Krems in the end who stays down low shack. They didn't know where he was. I don't know how they were checking low sooner, but in the end, wins a 1v3, and I cannot wait to see the tape from their point of view.
Yeah.
You and I have been so excited to see how that first match was going to go. I got to say, that first match here in Poland, completely different than every game we've seen at the X Games.
Yep.
And absolutely insane. We had a full moment, 10 seconds or so, where it was 2 squads remaining. We almost saw none of that at X Games. And a final ring that we also have not seen in a lot of competitive play. So amazing stuff here.
Show me the last fight.
Number 1.
Yeah, I think the circle deviation is definitely the major one that I would highlight. It's very different than what we have seen in a majority of formal Apex Legends final circles. But I'm still in awe, and I know we're going to be revisiting it more over the replay itself. But again, we talked about, okay, so we're highlighting the self-trace onto that portal from Wyvern, right? They set it towards the center circle where they know the final circle is going to be.
And it was there. It was in the right spot.
Perfect. It was exactly where it needed to be. But by both taking the portal, you and I both know that for some reason when we slide together into a portal, we don't go together, right? And that timing in between that usually means that you're going to take circle tick damage if it's not done far enough apart. And I can't help but feel like that's what we saw from Wyvern. They go back to the circle side. They're stacked on top of one another, and that means when they go back, one loses the 1 versus 1, the other dying to the circle.
I have to give you so much credit because we talked about this exact scenario yesterday. When we're talking about final Wraith portals, when we're talking about setting those up and also the zigzagging and circling to make sure that that portal distance is as long as it can. You talked about the delay, and the teams need to worry about that. Also, of course, didn't help that we saw LG fighting with no shields. When that, I don't know exactly who it was on Wyvern, might have been Parka, backs up, takes damage, backs into the ring, also gets knocked. Obviously, that first knock, something they didn't expect, and that started kind of the downhill spiral for them.
Absolutely. I would go back and look at that tape if I'm Wyvern, and I say, we lost this game because of some choices that we didn't need to make. And I'd be looking at going, how can we change that into game number 2?
Absolutely amazing stuff, and I personally cannot wait to see the replay, especially from the HSL side of what Krems was up to there. Guys on the desk, cannot wait to hear your thoughts. Fallout, Jamerson, and Glitter, over to you.
Thanks so much, Bravo. So much to break down after that one. I had the chills. You guys are losing your minds. Somehow we're still alive and breathing. But what a finish to that game. There's a lot to analyze. I want to talk about the last 2 minutes because that was the most unbelievable finish to a game I've seen so far in Apex.
I mean, that was definitely the biggest reversal we've seen because we were watching right throughout the majority of that mid-game Wyvern just taking fight after fight after fight and coming out ahead. There was a little bit of a scary moment there where they were trading away with Quasar, but after that, it looked like they were just running the field. And then at the end there, it comes down to 3 teams, LG, HSL. We didn't even know HSL was still alive. Krems and Freshie were there.
I keep turning to you guys, who's the third team? Who's the third team?
We were asking the same thing. We were yelling over here.
And look at you guys, see the replay on screen right now, of course, throughout that. But what a finish from HSL. Somehow manages to stay alive and somehow performs and comes out on top. You see the reaction as well and some player comms there. But really, that was Wyvern's game to lose in so many ways.
It was also partially just the patience that HSL had, right? They didn't show their hand. They were inside that building. Wyvern should have known that someone was there, but it looked like HSL took their time. They allowed Wyvern and LG to actually engage each other first before they made a move, and that's the best move that you can make, especially here in the end game.
However, I feel like the amount of kills that Wyvern was able to pull down in this game kind of makes up for the fact that they ended up taking second versus first.
1,000%.
They
3-point
slayed
difference.
out the entire time. They killed 15?
I think that's a low estimate. I think that's a low estimate at this point.
Jeez.
It was ridiculous. It was so many different teams, and so I think that
But I think उनको बहुत ज़्यादा point मिला.
For them right now, moving forward into game 2 and 3.
It's a great start, and we were talking about like game number 1 really setting the pace.
HSL उनको मालूम ही नहीं था कि उनके नीचे एक team है.
Now they're a little bit more comfortable. If they want, they can slow it down, play more conservative, and get that first place
लड़की का नाम क्या? I don't know.
To be able to cement their way into the next round of matches.
Yeah, I mean, the key storyline we talked about in the pregame show was, will Wyvern's W key tendencies work? Will their aggression work? Will their 200+ ping online play translate to LAN?
I
Well,
mean, I don't want to say that I called it.
Yeah, the predictions queen, which, by the way, if you remember pre-X games, I remember a little video clip where you predicted TSM to win.
Maybe.
You predicted NRG to flop a little bit.
Maybe.
And now you're predicting Wyvern to go
I don't know what
bigger.
happened.
So far,
Maybe
so
I'm
good.
just getting lucky here.
Yeah, luck.
The prophet.
Luck. Okay. The VR prophet.
The glitter
over here.
prophet, yeah.
Yeah, the glitter prophet. All right, let's get that trending real quick. At Glitter Explosion on Twitter. You got to get that going. But honestly, an amazing performance from Wyvern. Their W key performance shows strong. They slay out. They hit at least 15+ kills, as you mentioned. We'll, of course, update you guys with stats throughout the entire tournament as we can. But a great performance from them. And they make it to late game. What's really interesting, and I know we can't nitpick too much because you made a great point. Second and first place. Is it a big difference? But they didn't check for HSL. They didn't. I mean, they were so kind of one-track minded, focused on LG, who was backs against the wall. They're most likely going to die anyways. They didn't think to realize there's another squad in this game. We got to go big.
I think the fact that, you know, they didn't hear anyone really,
silent.
right? They're thinking maybe it's just a solo we don't have to worry about. You don't expect a full 3-man squad to be in that corner in that building.
I thought it was a solo.
We all thought it was a solo.
We all thought it was a solo.
Yeah, HS, I mean, true that. It wasn't necessarily what Wyvern did horribly wrong, but what HSL did right, which is literally when you're in that position, and you've probably all been there playing online in stream, stay quiet. Don't move a step, and really just let those two teams engage. Let those two teams fight. Don't show your hands.
And crucially,
सैली की कोरियन टीम को यही नहीं मालूम था कि उनके घर के नीचे एक पूरा स्क्वाड छुपा हुआ है क्योंकि वो हिल नहीं रहे थे.
And he was gone. It makes it a 2v2 for LG versus Wyvern at that point. Going for a res at that close distance is way too risky for them, and so everything was just working out perfectly for HSL.
It really did.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, again, you don't want to bash
हाँ पूरा स्क्वाड था.
But it's a great point. 2 knocks to Storm. And really, we talk about it.
वो नॉक हो गए स्टॉर्म से. वो नहीं हिले. फुटस्टेप्स नहीं दिए वो लोग. समझ रहे हो? रेत के अलावा बाकी जो 2 लोग थे वो हिले नहीं नीचे से. वो जोन डैमेज लेके डाउन हो गए. ठीक है.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tale of 2 different teams, especially for LG and Wyvern, right? You were talking
सिर्फ रेत हिली लास्ट में टिक डैमेज लेने के बाद.
On the opposite end, LG had nothing to work with except for the Watson pylon.
Yep, which was a little bit rough right there at the end for them. When they made that push, they weren't even full health. You know, they knew they were at a disadvantage, and that was just kind of the only play they could make at that point. They were also already down, man, and
At that point, yeah, you just try to go for whatever. You have to push out into open ground. When we saw that circle, we knew that it was going to be there at River Center. We didn't know it was going to pull towards bunker because we rarely see that, like Wade had mentioned over by the casters, right? We very rarely see that. We see it pull more towards the south, towards Godspot just a little bit. Never really just outside of bunker there.
Yeah, that's a great point. And again, to defend LG, not much they can do in that situation.
Yeah.
One knock, somehow manages
Fnatic
to
took out, I believe, was it Fnatic? Took out someone from LG, I believe, just before that.
Yeah,
Fnatic was doing well for a large chunk of that game, so I'm sure you were happy to see that, John.
Boys from Fnatic,
I was happy to see it, honestly.
I mean, we talk about hard rotates and how they love to hard rotate. Well, they only had to take like a walk.
I like how people. I like how you guys came to watch
up a little hill, and then there we go. They were set, and they were actually doing a good job. They had the equipment to
I thought
use that high ground well because they were going for that long range. Like we saw a lot of people going for the longbows, and then from there they were able to just pick away at different fights that were going on. And basically 360 degrees around them and get a few eliminations here or there. And so I feel like this might have actually just propelled them forward. We already know that Fnatic's a squad that can do well, and now they've already got a good start in game number 1.
Absolutely. I think all the teams that we've been talking about here have done a really good job setting themselves up to be really successful moving forward for the next 2 games. Whereas some of the teams that got knocked out earlier, now we're going to start seeing, is there that potential for those teams to start being a little bit more aggressive to hopefully ensure their safety through winner's bracket, or are they kind of thrown off their game now to the point where they play conservative?
Yeah, we had a lot of fighting here in the early game. This is Athame actually getting a kill, I believe. Krollo goes down is what happens, actually. Yeah, there we go. As that Pathfinder. And interestingly enough, we actually had a few resurrections coming out throughout this match. I believe at one point there were 57 players left, and then at one point it became 59 again. So 2 players were able to get res back.
Early on, too. Surprised no one jumped on that or picked up an opportunity. And interesting that we did get the res come through clean to start. Not a lot of very early game fights, a lot of mid game fights. We saw the opportunity where G2, we will have it on replay here.
Now the meta is so confusing, right?
Alive for G2 clutches up in that fight.
मेरा वो सुनो, ठीक है? अगर 2 बंदे रेज हुए और उन पे कोई पुश नहीं किया कि अगर हम पुश करेंगे तो और टीम भी पुश करेगी, right? So second round में, second round में या third round में जब कोई रेज होगा, लोग सोचेंगे फिर से कोई नहीं पुश करेगा, राइट? और वो पुश करेंगे, राइट? तो और लेकिन अगर सब यही सोच के पुश कर दिए तो क्या होगा?
Here we go. Shiny trying his best to rat this out. Tries to track him with that Arc Star, but he's going to go down at 6.
Wyvern just on top, melting people from afar there. Shiny did get taken out in that scenario. Picked up some limbs, and here we go towards Benq.
Parka took too much damage there. That's what
देखो पारखा नहीं ले पाया
over at the caster's desk. Where if you're trying to do this, you got to make sure that you actually stagger who goes through. But Parka right there took about 2 ticks of damage. That's 2 ticks too much.
And you saw
वो portal नहीं ले पाया starting में.
He has a member of HSL dead in his
वो portal नहीं ले पाया starting में क्योंकि उसका teammate ले लिया.
Back into the portal. I believe it was an accident or a misplay. Who knows? Portal's out of the circle, back into the fray, and ends up getting taken out.
Yeah, I think he would have been fine if he didn't end up doing that the second time.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Ended up costing them for sure. But again, keep saying it, a great performance from Wyvern in terms of kills and total performance overall. Any other teams stand out to you guys in particular that didn't make it to that top 3?
I think they're actually, Complexity was doing well for themselves.
Yeah,
For a good chunk of time there.
Kills early.
Yeah. I mean, their rotation really coming in behind Fnatic at that point. I think
That
slow
girl,
playing
though.
the edge
What
could
girl,
really worked
though?
out for them, especially right now when so many more teams are fighting than we were expecting in the mid game.
Which, that was all I wanted. That's what I was hoping for. I wanted that aggression, the mid-game aggression. Even maybe we'll see a little bit of early game aggression as well. But like I'm happy with how first match went so far.
Yeah, you heard a lot of players talking big game in the pregame kind of show or segment we showed you, where they're talking about all we do is W key. We're aggressive. We're going to stay aggressive. Sometimes that doesn't show up on LAN. It definitely did here. I think Gabe was the one of Complexity that was continuing to say they're going to W key everyone. You saw some aggression from them early, so completely agreed, Glitter. The early aggression really showed. Was great to see, but really, the amount of replays, the amount of clips, the amount to talk about from that first match is really unmatched. Let's go ahead and throw it over to the command center. Blaze, yes. Nate, you guys still breathing over there? How's it going?
It's crazy, man. This game was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So many things were happening at
own.
the end, and we're trying to follow all the action, but
It really was. It was all the teams were up after the third circle. You still had 20 teams alive, and being right outside that river center, outside the bunker, we saw all that action fold down. So we do have the last play for you guys on the screen. Now, the 3 teams, go ahead and play that for us, Nate. The 3 teams that was left alive in this situation was LG, Wyvern, and HSL. Now, the teams, they didn't realize that HSL was hiding at the corner of this house right up under them the entire time. So we're going to start to see this engagement unfold towards here, and still 3 teams alive at this point. And you're going to start to see these guys in the corner. And, hey, they're just being patient, waiting for them.
And that's the craziest part. These 2 teams getting engaged, hiding against each other, but HSL underneath that building the entire time. This whole final circle phase is happening.
We're going to have a little freeze frame towards you guys at the end, and you can almost kind of see them over here towards the corner, just waiting for all this action to unfold. Now, Nate, get ready to pause that over there as we get on over, because we're going to see them right in the window. There you go. I got it going on back here. Let's see. Right in the corner, super sneaky. Look at them over here. Folks, they just got to be quiet, waiting for that last and final moment. Going to play this clip on through, and then you're going to see Crims. He gets that final kill. He's going to race out that building. He's going to get a knock there on Selly and finish up the last guy.
I don't think वो portal में जाना चाहता था.
That's the knock on Selly, and boom, the heal is going to be able to put out that last and final damage. And HSL, they get it done.
Some great turtle strategies that we've seen a little bit of. Luminosity, I mean, one of the reasons they made it this far in this round, we saw them holding up in the bunker, but boy,
they got there early on. They had such a good drop. Them in North, I thought North was going to last a little bit longer than what they did, but hey, good for them. When I actually came on over, I sat on a bus with Crims, and we were talking about the tournament, about who's winning the first match. I'm pretty sure he didn't think that that's how the first match was going to go down.
All I'm going to say is you get the circle that ends by the bunker that long in the game,
you good.
I dream of Noxus traps all over.
They should have picked Coxty, guys.
All over.
Okay, look at it. They hit the perfect circle for it. All right, John, take it back.
Thank you, Blaze. Appreciate it, guys. Always some expert analysis from y'all. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about some of the other teams in that pool. Of course, great to see how the action broke down. Hilarious to see those 3 camping in the corner and surviving.
वो corner में से खड़ी है zone आ गया फिर
teams that perhaps you expected to perform well, maybe didn't have a great match 1. They're going to look to bounce back in match 2. Any teams stand out for you guys?
I was really hoping to see some bigger plays coming out of Third Impact.
It's well said. Bigger plays.
Yeah, I had high hopes for them. They are another team that has a ton of VR background and history and a lot of success in those other titles, and I was kind of hoping that I could see something come out of that. I mean, to be fair, it's only game 1. Everyone's warming up a little bit. It could have just been a bad game, but I'm still holding out high hopes for Third Impact.
Yeah, Jamerson, anyone in your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, another team that I was looking at was North. Mandy, Taishin, and Nook. They have a substitute coming in for that squad for Matafi. But, you know, they had early position at the river's end, but it looked like
Matafi की जगह substitute खेल रहा है.
I mean, we have to talk about kind of the pacing of the game, right? Because at X Games, by the end of the first ring, about 6 people on average were dead. Here, though, we had no one dying until about the 3rd ring, really. I mean, we even had people getting res back into this. And by the time we were in the 3rd ring, it was still 57 people alive on the field. And so when you get to that mid game where a lot of people are running through River's End, and we saw, especially over at the High Desert area, or not the High Desert, but the Golden Sands area, coming through there, a lot of teams were just funneling in. And so it was just a
all-out brawl.
It was, yeah, and that's one of the things you got to love about Apex is, of course, mid-game you're going to see some fights take place. You're not going to wait till very last few circles for fights to take place, and then end-game, it's going to end with a bang every single time.
No. Matafe is in the team, Ray. How can he not be invited? वो team में है तो उसके लिए जगह substitute खेल रहा है ना.
Credit to them. The amount of damage
Probably visa
they were able to do
चक्कर
over
हो.
Wyvern in that situation was great, but something you got to love about Apex is that late game and end game fights.
I mean, it was kind of what I wanted to happen for that specific end game. I think I was actually pretty surprised with how quickly people kind of cleared out right before that final ring. I think there were a lot of teams that did a good job taking the edge fights before they had to fully push into that final little pin drop circle, and it helped really give Wyvern and LG a little bit of breathing room to kind of get themselves in that top 3 position.
Yeah, once Wyvern was able to clear out that area just east of containment by the labs or, science around that hill, they were basically free, right? Their biggest issue getting through that rotation was Quasar. They traded with them, but they were ultimately able to win that fight, get everyone back into it, and then making their way down south into River Center was fairly easy for them, while a lot of teams, like we saw, Complexity and Fnatic and LG, were fighting for that bunker side, and I think that's what really helped Wyvern get into position there for that final ring.
Yeah,
BR
solid
game
plays
कोई
in the
मतलब ही
attempt
नहीं है
from
कि
Quasar
तुम
coming
pro
from South
हो
America.
कि
As they
नहीं,
did
क्या
trade,
बात
ultimately
कर
got
रहे हो
taken out early in that one. One team in particular that you pointed out early as a team to watch was Triumph. We didn't see a whole lot for them.
कुछ भी बोल देते हैं गुड्डू भाई.
Yeah, I mean, Triumph was just one of the teams that were kind of in the way of Wyvern throughout all of this, and it was very unfortunate because, you have Wyvern right in front of you, and then you also had Fnatic that were actually just peppering away at them from that hill. And so it's very difficult to try and win that fight out in the best of conditions at that point, up against Wyvern. And then you also have another team poking at you. So we'll see. Maybe Triumph have a different kind of take on game.
बहुत ज़्यादा मेहनत लगता है.
I think what's so interesting about the Wyvern style of play is exactly what we expected for them. They delivered on.
When
Very
TSM got
aggressive, high
eliminated,
kills.
what?
And actually
TSM
turns out
कहाँ
they
थी
ended up,
इसमें?
you're spot on there, 16 kills. One above 15, very close. 16 kills and 25 points already for Wyvern.
I think they're pretty much set.
That's insane. Like, do they even have to worry about game 2 and 3 at this point? Like,
if they get a
obviously,
top 5
you can play
finish,
safe and you're fine.
Yep.
With
Honestly,
that type of a start.
बहुत ज़्यादा मेहनत लगता है.
They're sitting pretty out there in first place.
जहाँ ये लोग पहुँचे हुए वहाँ पहुँचने
Let's see
के
how
लिए.
fast they can get to 50 because we all know the
भाई,
championship
फाड़
final
के
format,
मार के
which we
फाड़
talked
दिया
about,
भाई.
is going to be the
Korean
ability
team,
to get to
YOLO.
50 points and then win the game after. If I'm
भाभी
Wyvern, I'm
message
playing this like a championship final. I'm trying to get ready for what's going to be a potential marathon in the championship final.
That's actually a very important point that I wasn't considering at all. And honestly, at this point, they could go for that again. They could go for, the complete aggression, just completely lead foot on the gas and make sure you just
मैं
mow
सोच रहा
down
हूँ
the
कुछ
entire
खाने का order
competition.
करने.
Because 16 eliminations in these kinds of lobbies, that's kind of unheard of.
It really is, which is why I was shocked that that was the number that you ended up coming back with. But it also gives them the opportunity to almost have like testing ground
Exactly.
for what they're going to be doing for the finals, because you can't lose any points. It's not that they can't take them away. They already have them. So game 2 could easily just be them being like, all right, well, we're kind of sitting pretty. We can, ensure ourselves in winner's bracket for game 3, but for game 2, let's try X, Y, and Z.
Terminator का trailer
That's
चलने लग गया.
another great interesting point. At that point, you're almost treating this like a scrim lobby, or ability to practice, try new things here
में
on
Zomato
land,
है
at a
क्या?
tournament, and testing grounds for Wyvern here is they have not only winner's bracket round 1, they have winner's bracket round 2 after that, 3, and then of course the championship finals. They got a lot of testing ground opportunity, especially if they keep performing at that rate. Halfway to 50. Is there any shot they could get 50 points in 2 games?
I mean, if they're already at 25, I mean, you just need 12.5, right? At that point, they could get 5 kills and then a top 5 finish, and then they're good, right? In both of their games. And so this is a very, very, I think, doable thing for them. I think it's pretty much out of question that they don't move on.
It's just crazy to think about, though. We're match 1, game 1, and we're already like, well, they might be able to pull it out.
Yep.
Crazy. I mean, the fact that they're the points leader after not winning game 1, just only taking second, that's a statement in itself.
It says it all right there. Of course, if you're just tuning in,
अरे वो
maybe
luck
seeing this
नहीं था
Wyvern
गुड्डू
squad for the very
भाई.
first time. They're a team hailing from South Korea, competing against some of the top North American, European teams
वो
right
luck
now.
थोड़ी
It's been
था.
a key storyline that
वो
we've
तो
been looking out
उसका
for is
fat
the
finger
rugby
हो गया.
dominant.
उसको
What is
जब
Europe
portal
do?
से
Of course, we
निकला,
saw
the
TSM
sense of
win on
direction
top
lost
in-
हो
at
गया.
the
वो
X
बस
Games.
juke
Can
करना चाहता
Wyvern
था
do
bullet
it
और वो
here
गलती से
at
portal
the preseason
और
invitational?
सिर्फ वो
Well,
नहीं,
game 2
उसका
is
जो
ready to
टीममेट
go.
पोर्टल में घुसा, राइट?
locked and loaded. Let's go ahead and throw it
वो
back to Bravo
उसके
and Dread now, who called a great game one for game number
नहीं
2.
घुस पाया पोर्टल में,
Thanks
ठीक
so
है?
much, Fallout.
और
Jamerson and
2
for the
tick extra
breakdown.
ले
Bravo
लिया.
back with Dreadnought. And Dread, you and I have been poring over the stats. Unbelievable result in game number 1.
Yeah, absolutely amazing performance coming out from Wyvern. There were a lot of concerns and questions around the South Korean teams and how well they would end up performing. Kind of alluded to, my background has been known to very much respect those players very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And I think Wyvern put up a darn good argument for it in game 1.
Yeah, we heard talk about, they haven't played, they're used to playing with this ping. How are they going to do on LAN?
Yeah.
They did just fine, right? 25 points on the board for them. We got to talk about not only do they have 25 points on the board, right? Losing that last late game, it's going to matter a lot on Sunday.
Yeah.
Being given the format, you have to win the game to win the tournament. However, today they're sitting pretty 25-17, but we're ready to jump right in to game number 2 here. Match
Let's
2
go.
of 3 for Group A. If you're just joining us here,
आजा साथ
with an
देखते हैं
amazing
सब.
performance there,
Bro मैं
25
देख रहा
points on
हूँ
the board for
कमेंट्री
them.
का like
HSL
stream
with
कर रहा
17, and it's a
हूँ.
huge gap to third. Luminosity Gaming, the next closest is going to be LG and Love tied at 9.
And I think
अरे हाँ उसका टीममेट पुश कर दिया ना और जाके मर गया ना. एक बंदे को पोर्टल लेना चाहिए था और एक बंदे को रिंग में जाके क्या फाइट करना चाहिए था और फिर दोनों को लड़ना चाहिए था. पता नहीं क्यों उन्होंने पोर्टल छोड़ दिया. एक से 2 टीम जा रही है रिपल से.
10. So some of these players can maybe lose some of that fear, kind of breathe a little bit easy knowing that you don't have to necessarily
चल
be
मैच के बाद
better
आता
than
फिर
Wyvern,
स्ट्रीम
you
में.
just
चलिए
gotta
लो.
be better than everybody else.
It's true, as we see a
अरे मैं
real
स्ट्रीम
race
कर रहा है
potentially for third if
इसीलिए.
we see similar performances for Wyvern and the HSL side. Keep in mind, also want to point out the next closest kills to Wyvern's 16 was 6. G2 and Gambit tying for 6 kills. That's a 10 kill difference in between first and second. That's incredible. Let's go ahead and check in with Blaze and Nate at the command center. Guys, what are you seeing here across the map?
push करते तो गांड फट जाती.
Thank you guys.
गांड
We
फट
come
जाते.
in with all
Exactly.
the drops, keeping in mind the team
But
that was
तुमको
able to pick
मानना
up that
पड़ेगा
first
HSL
dub,
ने एक
HSL,
फुटस्टेप
over
नहीं
at
दिया
the
उस घर
cage.
के नीचे. जोन डैमेज
Gambit
लेते
behind
रहे
them,
but
started off, we got a circle all the way
एक
up
फुटस्टेप नहीं
northwest, so
दिया डैमेज.
looking to see the adjustments over there. Any surprise drops over here for you?
No
Blaze?
surprise drops just yet. I think we do see Wyvern towards that south tower. Fnatic doing what Fnatic does best. They're going to be over there towards the containment area for free. And so far, no close engagements. Everybody wants to play it safe. You're seeing how well Wyvern did in the first round, and all these teams trying to make up some points. In classic meta, once again, Pathfinder, Wraith, Watson across the board.
Yeah, every single team coming up there. We got Luminosity. Actually, a lot of the similar drops going back towards that air base. So nothing changing up too much as we get into our next game. Back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Nate. And Blaze as well for getting us a little bit of a look at that. You also saw, we just saw Wyvern there at Repulsor and Hydrodem, and they are going to have a long road.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trek considering it is such a northwestern circle, kind of hinting up towards that slums or runoff kind of section here. We'll figure it out as the game moves on and we find ourselves more towards that round number 3. But at the aim here from the southern angle, and a bit of a coral here coming out from 2 spines as Quasar Generation Red find themselves in it.
Not trying to look, of course, a little bit of high ground here, so they're going to have an opportunity to maybe try to get a little bit of a team shot in there, and they're going to just continue moving dead west. And looks like maybe going to opt to disengage, but they are still pinging, so maybe still going to head in here.
They're in a situation where right now the circle is forgiving, right? They, in terms of damage
ये
rotations,
जगह जो ये
everything else,
लोग
they
लूट रहे
don't
हैं
need to
वो मेरे
make
को
this
भी
transition
सही
towards the
लगता
northern half if they would
ये
like to
artillery
opt out of
jungle,
it. So
यहाँ
I
पे
think that's a
mates
good
बहुत
point that you bring up, right? They're by no means under that pressure point circumstance where things are do and or die.
Yep, and we might see potentially here as we see
Complexity
Complexity
को
artillery
आने
tunnels are
देना
going to
है
maybe circle back, but it looks like instead they are going to be heading south, so they'll probably be out of the tunnel by the time that we would see any sort of push through 2 spines into artillery proper.
Yeah.
We're probably going to see, as you see, Complexity is already kind of spinning down into that upper part of Destroyed Cascade. So unlikely, that we're going to see any battle there as they're going to go ahead and head over now to Watchtower North.
Biggest thing to note here is some of the loadout.
अच्छा इन्हीं का टीममेट गली में.
Though they did get that artillery tunnel, and it has a lot of supply crates. Sometimes the supply crates, because of the rarity, is not necessarily that easy to walk away feeling good about yourself. The armor circumstance is pretty good, but I can't help but feel like a Havoc MP 2020 leaves something to be desired in terms of that loadout. I was going to say, even though we do see the hop up on the 2020, I was going to say very rarely do you see a Havoc 2020 period in a loadout. So you have to imagine that he's going to be looking for some more goodies as well. Now on board with Noted. Bit of a different tail on his loadout. Oh, look at this though. Found himself inside.
Oh boy.
Easy swap over to the Eva 8. That's going to be the first knock, but it will not be the last. Thirsts that one out, finds one. The ping's going down on the outside. We see the Wraith portal. We see the Wraith Q. No, actually, that was the portal animation.
तुम लोगों ने देखा उसने कैसे push किया?
Let's do this.
They're going in, and when you see that portal, and it's now going to be a 3v1, they're going to fly right in here towards the outside of two spines, and that should be it. Yes, indeed. As they're going to go ahead and get that limb as well.
Very well done.
Steal all the good.
तुमने देखा उन्होंने डोर कैसे तोड़ा? दो बंदों ने मिलकर डोर तोड़ा।
Forfeited over their lives. There is no
और एक बंदा बोला मैं शॉट लेगा, तू पुश करेगा।
Noping out of here and playing that one man. Essentially what we got out of Fnatic in the last round, right? Once you're left alone, how long can I just hide and survive and rely on some of those placement points?
Right. Your two options there, of course, are really just surviving by placement points, and maybe, just maybe, you'll have an opportunity for a third party if the circumstances allow it here. And of course, Basila, hailing from Mexico. Got to talk about so many countries represented at this event. Not only do we have so many teams here, so much money on the line, but also, really, it's our first opportunity to see so many teams from around the globe meeting up here across so many different lobbies. It's going to be a fantastic 3 days of Apex.
Yeah, and I think it's even cooler, you know, especially that we not only get representation from all over, but I can't help but feel like with the X Games, a lot of people felt like it was North American weighted, and we know there are so many Apex European fans. So the fact that, you know, kind of bringing it to home turf, giving easy opportunity for that success there, but clearly, you know, leaving our doors open for anyone and everyone who wanted to prove that they can get that champion screen.
Absolutely, of course. Australian teams here, teams who have traveled many, many miles, many of them 9,000 plus to get here. And
there are containment.
Australian competitors. There's such a
love का भी एक गया.
Also forget the ping. Yeah, the travel too. You're going a long way, no matter what. Whether that's over an internet connection or on a plane, you're going to have to take a long way to get here. Now checking in with Love, and some good stuff here as we see. Although they have lost, legit Lolly. A 99 on a longbow here for Fury.
Yeah,
also purple shears here for Rondan, yeah.
Here's a longbow out in the distance there, kind of poking and prodding for those caves on the right-hand side, trying to
they're gonna respawn.
Attempt. He's going to be pressed and held onto. Honestly, that's going to be a tail we'll get the answer to a little bit later here. But now, Luminosity with the slums.
Yep, and it's going to be tricky here. LG's, and to be honest,
first game से ज़्यादा aggressive चल रहा है ना ये game. जिन teams का points कम है, they are trying to get points by killing.
Opportunity for the res later on for Luminosity there.
अभी third game देखना और aggressive होगा.
Golden Barrel stabilizer now moving down here towards the watchtower.
क्योंकि ये double elimination है ना, तो ये group A का elimination चल रहा है.
In that first game, shots coming through.
Yeah, shots from behind there, actually. That's very, very difficult for them to be able to deal with. We see the Wraith portal kind of coming out. Now Gambit sitting here still at the Watchtower North, sitting right outside that circle, but does have a Wraith portal if necessary. Seems like Sunset receiving a bit of damage there. And we take our way onto that portal. Man, that was, talk about a bit of a clickbait there. I needed the closure of that portal take.
We saw a little bit of Gambit with some early success there in that game, but they did end up placing, looks like 14th. With 6 kills, so a little bit less to be desired, and that does put them in 7th place currently. Houston now switch over here to Complexity. They've got a nice watchtower set up here, looking over containment.
Biggest thing to highlight though, the 30 ammo left there for Mirko. That is not enough ammo in a wingman to be like, we're okay with this high ground. Do you debatably want to get into a range that you know you'll be able to hit the shots? Yes, being able to kind of just fling them at your opponent from this distance is the normal play, but it's again not an option.
Oh, they're rushing.
It goes. They're going to zip in. You saw the play call coming, and they're going to fly in here to this rooftop and start to bust some doors down. We'll go ahead and check in on that battle again if it does heat up. But now, back over here, taking a look at
tournament, bro.
Yellow and Forsaken here on
पहला टूर्नामेंट में तो फाड़ दिया साउथ कोरिया ने 16 kill game
that we saw before. It could be that third impact was actually the team shooting at that res attempt.
दिखा दिया है ना युगा का कि WP कैसे करते हैं.
Taking a couple of shots there from the low ground, but it wasn't going to be enough to be too lethal here onto them yet.
Certainly should have been able to escape that. Indeed. Now over to Triumph Gaming. Who's sitting up there at artillery, and these are some far longbow shots trying to connect.
Just joined. How are the games going? Dude, last game.
With Fnatic North America, and they're doing what we expect them to do. Right? They're getting that positioning. It's a nice knock that comes in.
HSL down.
Spirit, and it's very important to know
Fnatic is like, oh, that shot.
A little bit more, but focus onto some of these shots coming through. They did break the armor onto the second target. It feels like everyone is just honing in on anyone trying to maintain that.
इतना intense था. Oh!
Are you kidding
Are you kidding me?
Lighting it up there. Amazing.
Oh my god!
As well. Was #1 team from last game eliminated here
by a hollow scope longbow, the team that won the game.
One of the
cookout roster.
Oh my god.
I mean, you called it perfectly, Dread. They could not have asked for a better position there. And also Spirit with that sight line. Of course, he hits those longbow shots, makes them count. And now also the kill leader with 4 kills. So still 19 squads left, but that was a fantastic first wipe we just saw.
And what if I told you it only gets better for Fnatic? Because when we look at the next circles and what is going to be a problem when it comes to high ground point, there's one major problem, and that is the center point where we saw them already shooting. They have the counter angle to the best high ground slot over our circle right now, and that is great. Again, showing those big brain plays. But back to the tunnel.
Yep, now going Veinless. He's here trying to face West. They're looking to hopefully at some point exit this tunnel, but right now they've got a lot of resistance towards the southwest, trying to exit to destroyed Cascades. They're gonna have to fight together to get out, and they know that they have a limited amount of time with that ring closing in about 45 seconds.
Yeah, and the only other way they can make this out is essentially opting out, using the Pathfinder zip to make sure that they get to high ground and kind of go out with that wider rotation. Look at this, we're gonna go ahead and push though. Couple of shots.
Yep, shots coming in there. They're going to have to avoid cover. Nades coming in as well. And they're being forced into these fences, and it looks like still shots coming through. Veinless is
bad push. That's
going to be dangerous now. JMW and Graceful going to have to make this count.
अच्छा था उसकी टीम ने push नहीं
That was a very big misstep there from Veinless, and the fact that nobody else is taking pressure, and he was in a position just to get knocked. Already down here, the rest of the team trying to defend off of him here, kind of thwart them back. Shots go through. Purple armor is looking like it's an
Tiara यहाँ हार जाएगी मेरे को लग रहा है Tiara यहाँ मरने वाली
Gonna go ahead and lay the portal. Looks like the answer is to get out as fast as we can, but I don't think they will.
He's gonna also slide down. That's gonna give him some good distance here, and that Alim's gonna come in on Forsaken. Let's see if he can stay alive here. Just about no health left as well. That portal has gone down. You have to wonder if JMW has already taken it. Looks like Graceful will get knocked. Here's JMW. He has
that was such a bad play. That was such a bad play by Tiara.
Of course, in a potentially 1v3, maybe there's even more.
Yeah, he's going to have to take a page out of Mr. Deeds Butler here. He's got to be very, very sneaky, sir, because this is so difficult.
I was going to say now he's going to, of course, we're still in early days, so he's going to be able to pop some bats. He's going to be able to take this damage. Hopefully has some meds as well. Yes, 6 in the pocket, so he can take this slow. He's going to hope that the team doesn't try to fly through to force that Alim. Certainly an option for them.
Yeah, that is the biggest thing here. And I honestly don't even know if he manages to find the banners, whether or not it's a safe choice going forward to even look for that res opportunity. 17's team still alive here with around 3 posted up. We'll see what he opts into. But either way, I think, you know, if we haven't painted it clear enough, guys, it's a dour situation for Triumph Gaming.
Talk about all the places you would not want to be stuck into a choke. Artillery Tunnel would be one of them.
Ooh, that's a select fire happened out
Oh
there.
my god.
What is this? Just right on by.
Select
you see
fire
flying
happened.
across the map every day. Now checking in with Complexity, who's fighting bottom containment as well. And they look pretty
That
good
was
in
too
the
close,
199
exactly.
wing
ऐसा लगा कान से गया bro.
Such an interesting
कान
element
से
too,
गया.
considering we've been so focused on the longbow meta, and we know that's something we're going to see continuously outward. Earlier I was talking about the Scout as an ammunition opportunity in a different direction, but also the Havoc with Select Fire could debatably meet that argument too. But back with the longbow here, Love and Fury still with that waterfall, and look at, they got the res. They actually made it happen.
Absolutely, bringing him back, of course. Opportunities in the early game and even bits of the mid game, depending on really where that ring is headed to get those res, but they make it count. Legit Lolly going to be on white armor right now, so going to have to be a little bit careful, but that longbow is going to allow him to keep a distance and also pop some shots now.
तुमने देखा क्या किया उसने? You just saw. उसने ऊपर मोजाम्बिक गिरा दिया कि मैं लूट उसमें जो गन होगा I can loot and come back fast.
Low ground looks like right now within the sights of at least two
तुमने देखा उसने अपना सेकेंडरी गन गिरा दिया कि मैं जाऊंगा और दूसरा गन उठा के आ जाऊंगा मेरे को वो होल्ड लेफ्ट क्लिक नहीं करना पड़ेगा. That 1 second extra can like get him the loot and save.
A dominant fashion over this circle.
Yeah, your residing is right. Fnatic has set up shop. They have no intent of leaving. And look at this now. As we go over to Alliance, they're going to fly through as we see some action flying across the more open side of the maps. Golden Sands through Oasis, but right now Alliance going to just circle right back into Pit and watch their back.
And so I understand the
1
decisioning
second,
over the positioning of Alliance
0.5
right here,
second,
but this is one of my
1.5
least favorite
second.
places to ever be.
Every
this
second you
circle is going
save,
to be okay once
like
it closes
holy
in, but
shit.
once you get past the circle, if anybody is doing that on any of the other pillars of Pit,
ये कौन सा bracket है अभी? Group A is round 2.
that fight. So I like to see that they rotated out, realizing that Pit's going to be a bit more pressure.
All right, we are headed now to runoff, and this is where Action is going to head. Very different game at this point. In the last game, we certainly were a little bit closer to that 15 squads left, but 16 squads left, so we do see it's going to be a bleed out there for across our red. They are going to be out, and also Wyvern into some trouble, and looks like
Wyvern eliminated.
Well. So, fantastic game one from Wyvern. but that will be the end of them. They will fall here. Now, as you see, like 14 squads remaining, and now on board with Gabe on the.
मेरे को क्यों लग रहा है Fnatic जीत जाएगी?
First place in terms of placement, the fact that Wyvern first overall, and that they're out at squad number 15.
And you have to wonder, Dread, how many kills they have on the board.
Yeah, and I can't help but feel like it's going to be not near the pretty tail.
Rip Sally, dude. F in the chat, F in the chat. Dizzy और एसू है क्या इस टूर्नामेंट में? हाँ, hit their energy squad. वो ग्रुप A में नहीं है, शायद ग्रुप B में है. ग्रुप A का राउंड 2 चल रहा है, इसके बाद राउंड 3 होगा, and then ग्रुप B स्टार्ट होगा.
It could have been a tough situation there. That wasn't going to be already preluded here.
Oh my god.
Now out from Gambit connects with one.
Okay, देखो प्रोफेशनल प्लेयर 0 पिंग पे भी विंगमैन मिस करते हैं सालों. अगर आज से कोई मेरे को बोला ना कि विंगमैन क्यों मिस कर रहे हो?
Yes, indeed. Able to get a last second shot off, and also going to pop a bat to go right back to full gold shield.
He had fast use.
Towards off that team that they're already looking at. They need to win this skirmish down, and man, they have to fight outward and then consider the center circle. You can't consider.
Waiting to see ASU. Me too, bro. I'm waiting to see another TSM.
I'd like to see them be a
but yeah, I'm waiting to see ASU too.
Look at this. Back wingman.
Oh!
Cleaning up shop. And Gambit Gaming now you need to set your focus to Fnatic.
And what a show here from San. He's not done yet. Going to try to
तू
also
बहाना देता है और वो लोग चौक होते हैं
as well. And they're going to continue pushing right now. Looks like some still contesting along the truck, and they should be able to get those as well on a team shot. Little can do that.
My sweet.
देखो उनका भी पीस की बरात का पड़ता है.
They should be able to close in this pretty.
Yeah.
11 का पीस
Peacekeepers. Pretty surprising. It's important to know that Gambit might get a little bit hasty now because this kill should not have been this difficult. And if they're willing to risk their position and get into Fnatic just to be able to get that one kill, that could be the beginning of the end. We'll find out here as we transition
Taking a look here, Ruski puts themselves, has lost both teammates in the situation we talked about earlier, Dread. You know, what do you do here as a solo? Do you just simply try to play for a little bit of position and play squirmy and squirrely? Do you try to get some third-party opportunities if they allow themselves? You have to think you go for the former. It's certainly...
You got a squirrel. You got a squirrel. You got to just be as good of a rodent as you can possibly be. I don't know if there's a faster, feistier rodent than a squirrel, but if not, be that one.
But yeah, whichever one.
Okay, मेरा wingman क्या 25 का पड़ता है.
Some kind of encyclopedia or guide that could give you the guidance on exactly which type of rodent you need to be. But here we go, checking in now, way up north here.
पता नहीं इसका है अगर टूर्नामेंट अभी राउंड खत्म हो गया तो वो करेगा
खेलेगा. A lot of elevation on these finals.
Yeah, and also a lot of peacekeeper flank opportunities.
क्योंकि मैं Gears of War में बहुत ज़्यादा वो है स्टोरी के क्लोज है बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट. Hammer of Dawn ऑनलाइन आ चुका है और like
how to do with mid and close range skirmishes. I can't but feel like this is a very difficult final circle for you. Only one house exists over our next circle closing.
Yeah, you talk about Mimu there.
Fnatic का है मेरे को Fnatic देखना है.
Maybe going to swap that as we get into really tight late game here.
That's what you say that, but to be honest, it's one of the few weapons I think is a little underestimated and how effective it is in there. That's a Dreadnought opinion, but I think for most
we've seen a lot, of course.
शायद हाँ episode 10 देखा
We've seen players put on a show here.
He's only got 2 in the chamber here. It's very important he hits these if he doesn't
नहीं episode 10 में next
this initiation as we see Luminosity trying to push.
Now Crank and Chipsy still running white armor. They're going to need to be careful here and assume that their opponents have a much more.
Oh fuck, I'm late. कोई बात नहीं. देर आए दुरुस्त है.
Oh, 100! Oh! Not going to connect there. iframe probably forced. We're going to go ahead and breathe a little bit easy there as the Arc Star stops the advance.
A little armor swap as well. Going to have to pop a cell though in order to restore that. And LG, they've done well to get this far, but keep in mind we are 13 squads left. So they're still going to have a long way to go if they want to get some points on the board.
Yeah, and you can basically look
Android होता ना तो Android बोलता 100 मारा मेरे 100 मारा मैं चेस कर रहा है मैं जा रहा है मैं फर्स्ट पे नहीं जा रहा मैं मारने जा रहा हूं जाके मर जा.
10 seconds and counting over that final circle, and that's when everyone is going to be moving on top of him. This is it, Bravo. A lot of deaths here. 13 is going to become
वो 100 डैमेज देने के बाद ही पीछे हट गया.
Teams are going to be moving real quick, falling out of slums, also falling down from that high ground to the south as well.
Yeah. So here we go, Fnatic in the low ground in the circle. Notice how the second that they understood that the circle was not advantageous to the high ground, they make their way into the home and they defend outward. Again, very smart plays from them.
Look at this zip coming in.
Oh shit!
That was going to come there from the BDS side. Cyclops is able to knock 2. On the other side, Chipsy is a double knock as well. And Monday just trying to stay alive here.
Last factory
gets him out of line of fire. I say that, but then look, we've got different eyes from a different angle. Doesn't end up getting a full knock. He can take a big trade. He dips down. The mass defensive whiff on that one. Door jam seems like this is the beginning. No way that nobody can push this door.
I was going to say that Phoenix kid might not have to know he will go down as well. That's going to be North that will fall, and now another knock coming in from the BDS side. They will get wiped as well. We're going to go ahead and keep moving on. 7 squads left here in the match, and things are getting tight.
Gambit, very good cleanup there, and an opportunity to be able to heal up and get all the armor, all the resources they may need for this final circle. Look, we were concerned with their positioning before and the resources that they had at hand, but that one wingman trade and skirmish and winning that battle has net them so much that they could find a way, as long as I can't but feel like Fnatic is distracted. Right now, they have so much going for them in this spot.
But जिसके पास ये घर है, holy
shit. Posted up, taking a look at the map. Lucky timing there that we got to see that exact zoom here, coming in to see exactly where they are on the map.
Peacekeeper जब देता है तो छप्पड़ फाड़ के देता है ये चपाट देता है जैसे कोई पट से
not only because the high ground I was highlighting before, but because there were many structures to kind of deviate and kind of thwart out. It basically because we moved away from slums into slums. That's not a true statement anymore.
वो enemy का Watson का लगा हुआ है, वो लोग नहीं हटा रहे कि यहाँ protection है. उनको जाना ही नहीं है घर से बाहर. ओ पूरा open में है.
Look here at Gambit, like you said, able to fight out of some pretty disadvantageous positions earlier to come this late into the game. And there's the zip.
Pre-zip is a very big play here. Why you would do that is it sets it on a big enough cooldown that you can have another one before the next circle if it's too problematic, if you can. But they've only got themselves, 5 seconds here until it's going to close in, and this is it. This is a big moment here for these teams.
Look at G2 now, ready to push in. One of the 3-man squads left. We saw a few others that are still just 2, and even one that's 1, and they're going to start Watsoning up here to avoid this push.
G2's got a great angle on that zip. Look, they're looking up already at the zip. They're trying to zip jump, but I don't think they're going to be able to do it that long.
Shot's not hitting, though. They might be still up there. So we see one coming in here from Fnatic. Still all 3
Fnatic का positioning इतना बढ़िया था इस पूरे गेम में. पूरे गेम में. कहाँ थी Fnatic में? वो तो दिखी नहीं.
Looks like he's fine. Shiny also, will completed their Spirit looking just
I mean, मेरे को मालूम है कहाँ थे, but like जब circle close हुआ तब कहाँ
थे? This is the Fnatic box. They love this box right now, keeping them all alive. They get time to pop bats, but now here over to the Gambit side, still fighting with white armor, and G2 also still in this low ground behind the barrier, still alive.
If Fnatic gets distracted too much, they might be in a bad position. They need to focus on to G2, who has this low ground here off on the side, but the cover, the wingman shots come through too. It's going to go ahead and crack the armor, but Fnatic is the biggest focus.
Hello, Gambit.
On to Gambit, they are just stuck between 2 teams.
They are. I don't know how they're alive here.
अरे ये Murdoch की तरह heal करता है, tab दबा के click करता है.
Coming in from Sanyas is able to land quite a few there with the 99, also going to pop a bat. And now 3 squads remaining in the game.
He has only 22 bullets.
Just kind of poke up there. 22 bullets left in his 99. Knows he's got the wingman.
Hoping that some Fnatic shots come that way as well soon.
Oh, Phoenix Kid, this is the last major heal available here. Oh, look at the peek in the downtime. Tries the juke. He tries the jive.
Almost does it too. Now look at G2. They're going to go ahead and push on that. They haven't got the elim yet. He has to fly back. Ret
what about Fnatic?
And it's very important to know 0-0 having no.
Oh, Fnatic छुपी हुई है.
He has the armor, but now he's 1 hit away from getting a knock. There goes the med kit, but is it going to be enough? There's Fnatic pressure in that window. No, instead they push on to Gambit, and look at that. Gambit find the knock under G2.
Look at this now. More shots coming in. He's still not down. Article with a.
Are you kidding me? He's gonna 1v3 Fnatic.
He is a monster, but then Fnatic comes through with a couple of shots onto the side now. Alliance still alive here, sitting next to where we saw. Oh my goodness.
It's 2 squads left here, Alliance and G2.
No way here. Are they going to be able to do this? The 1-man ban versus what? What do we got on the other side? 2?
हाँ, Shelly इस round में मर गए.
Trying to hit these shots here. Oh, slowly healing up on the Watson ult.
Peeks once more. Nice wind up there. Takes a trade back. Gets a 60 break. He's going to go ahead and look for the push here. He's going to try and take this wingman, or excuse me, not wingman, but triple take armor swap attempt in the middle of the skirmish here.
Should be able to get
He punched the professional with the game.
Melee finish. And we are seeing
Are you kidding me?
Never before seen moments in Apex Legends professional play.
He fucking killed and punched to win the game, dude. He had he didn't have any bullets.
How G2 just did what they did. They.
Oh my God!
Like with Fnatic off on your side, you've got Gambit poking and prodding in front of you that they can't control.
Holy
with the
shit,
zip line above them, and then he clutches with an armor swap.
And then to finish
the armor swap
reload, I think it was on a 301.
Yeah.
Needed the reload. Didn't want to trust the triple take from the hip.
Yeah.
So trusted the steel toe boots and goes for the melee finish. Knew that that would be an option because of that armor swap.
Yeah.
And I am amazed at the first 2 rings that we have had here at the Apex Legends Preseason Invitational that have provided anywhere else in slums. That's a very different battle. You're looking at 2 different building battles. You're looking at kind of top-bottom having to push out. Instead, we had one team just a little bit on low ground, one team tucked behind a half-height wall, and then you saw Fnatic up top, and an amazing finale. I mean, to end game 2 with a 1v1.
Yeah. Now,
if you watched all the X Games, we did not have really any 1v1s to close out any final rings.
And definitely not coming to a boxing match outside of like Mendo and Dizzy agreeing that it's like,
I was going to say the only time I've seen these box outs is everyone dropping their loot and it's fisticuffs.
And it's like, let's do it, boys. Like, let's have a good time, you know? And so it was wild that we were able to get that.
Holy shit, dude. This tournament is so worth watching.
The control out of G2 on the back half of that game.
And also, I mean, I think he even looked away because he thought that first melee was
he thought it was
kill.
it.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be the finish. But in the end, what a fantastic game number 2 that we just saw. And also, you said G2 playing that conservative aggression so well as they pop up. Of course, the Watson ult is up the whole time, which is a huge part of them being able to poke, look at the low ground, come back, and rotate just like that. But in the end, what a finish it is that we just saw.
It was great. And I think that the best thing that I would highlight for any fan at home is like, yeah, that was a good circle, you know, and everything else. It's like, this is just, again, the beginning. And I know that that's been a tone for so many elements here, and it is a true statement for so many elements, but that is the one that I'm looking at the most, right, is those exciting final moments and how these teams are so creatively kind of approaching those moments.
Absolutely. Fantastic first 2 matches here at the Apex Legends Preseason Invitational. Of course, one more match for this Group A coming up in just a bit, but to break down that game number 2, I want to head it back to Fallout on the desk.
Thank you so much, Bravo. Fallout here, back with Jamerson and Glitter. And of course, you know, we got to start with the ending
Melee of the year, exactly.
A melee finish? Are you kidding me? Coming out from G2, I think it was Mimu. What a finish. Then you see them punching their monitor as they're celebrating and reenacting what just happened. Break me down the last couple seconds there. What happened?
We were yelling. We were yelling.
Screaming. He has no ammo.
At the top of our lungs.
He was sitting here the whole time just going, no ammo, no ammo. Just full panic for what was about to go down in that very final fight.
Yeah, he had 14 shots left in his 301. He goes into the bag to try and find any more ammo. You can see him go through, and he was like, okay, I guess armor swap is the best thing I can do. And then goes back out. He doesn't want to go for the hip fire on that triple take like Dreadnought had mentioned, but you totally could. But instead, he believes in his feet instead, and it worked out for him.
Ultimate disrespect.
Yeah, to win
the last
off of
time we've seen, I think,
what about Shroud? What about Shroud?
With a melee was like Dizzy versus
Shroud
someone
Apex
in
नहीं
like
खेलता professionally किसी organization
Very long time ago.
Crazy finish. And take a look at the last kill here. You can hardly believe it the way
Hey,
it
Akash,
ended.
welcome.
Out of ammo. It's Mimu, barely any health. He's going to get a body shield real quick from looting. Picks up a little bit of ammo, puts some shots in, 3 bullets left, and 2 melees for the win. What a finish for Mimu and G2. And if that's me, I'm getting up and I'm dancing on the stage in celebration after disrespecting someone like that. Pretty 100%. Chill reaction there from the Finland Wonders, but really good finish.
I mean, it was a roller coaster story for G2 there because they had a great position. They saw the Pathfinder zipline and they were trying to get those shots off. Didn't quite work out. Fnatic were able to get out to safety, but it was okay for G2 because, you know what? Gambit were there. Sign with some crazy thermites.
Those honestly, and Sign's another one of the players that comes deep BR roots, you know, and I saw him going for it and I was like, there's no way. There's no way those are going to hit, and you just see the kill feed light up instantly, and you're just like, well,
that's a thermite
yeah,
for
2
you.
thermites and the entirety of Fnatic gone.
Crazy
like
finish there. Of course, Gambit's very own Sign with the beautiful play. Right before that, Spirit tried doing the same thing, I believe, to them. Threw 2 thermites, didn't connect. Well, he got Taser's own medicine.
Yes,
he ended up getting taken out there. You heard Bravo call it. I think it was Bravo or Dread. That is Fnatic's box. Well, that box ended up becoming a fire pit, and they ended up getting taken out. That's what happens, obviously, when you group so much towards late game there.
Yeah. They were doing really, really well there for a while, too. Fnatic was having a really strong game. I actually thought that they had a really good chance to pull it out.
Yeah.
In game 2 or match 2.
That a great start for them. Some good mid-game play. Picking up some limbs early on. You expected them to really, we've been saying, they're a hard rotate team. They don't like to pick their fights, but they're playing a lot more aggressive this tournament, aren't they?
Well, they're afforded that because of the way the ring's been working out, right? In
the
first match, we had that
Android का patent है armor swap. Android का patent है
ये. It changed just a little bit because the ring went northwest, and so they were able to just rotate to the west there, going on over. And then I love their positioning. Taking that mountainside instead of going towards in the middle of the water there, because we saw what happened. Fnatic versus HSL, one had better positioning. HSL's positioning was an old position that you used to play when you had a lifeline, right? Because the lifeline could drop down her package and then you had some extra coverage. Up there, you have nothing to hide behind.
And then we saw the result of that as HSL went out really early in this game when they did so well in match 1.
Yep, goes to show, and a very similar team and similar story was Wyvern, who did not get as great of ring luck, and they get taken out early as well. What happened with Wyvern early on? You saw them obviously with a dominating game one, 25 points early on. I think they got 0. I don't know if they picked up any kills there. They get taken out early in game 2.
Yeah, Dread and Bravo mentioned it, right? That they dropped once again over at Repulsor and Hydro. They had both of those named locations to themselves in these last 2 matches, but this time around, they had to go for a hard, heavy rotate towards the northwest where they're not able to clear out every single angle, and then all of a sudden, they run into about 3 or 4 teams.
Right, and we were talking about that. It was a really unfortunate pinch that happened for them there because they kind of they had love behind them, I believe, and then they had a couple teams in front of them, and it was just one of those situations where they didn't really have a choice. But
how do I order
a fight? I don't think any of those fights were going to be good fights for them. It was just they just kind of had to deal with whatever situation they were dealt, and unfortunately, they went out 16th.
Yeah.
So that's a dramatic change from the first time around.
And crazy enough, the top 2 teams both ended up getting taken out early in HSL and Wyvern. So an interesting turn of events here in match number 2. And to break down the action, we got none other than Chef Blaze himself and the Thanius. Take it away, guys.
Well, it's funny you should mention that, of course, as we were just talking about it. And another thing we've been talking about on the desk, y'all been talking about Fnatic and how well they have been playing.
Exactly. Yep, and in our first clip, we're going to see HSL, your winners in game number 1. This is where Fnatic meets up with them. You're going to start to see where HSL is starting to
okay. Oh, ये shot देखना
top mountain.
पूरे HSL को इसने hollow longbow से मार दिया.
Players are in there. You got 1, 2. They're very far away, but going to play this clip out. You're going to get their first knock on Crims. And now at this point, Fnatic doing what Fnatic does best. Posted up. They're going to have the gates up as well. Nobody's going to
P20 भाई साहब फाड़ू चला रहा था भाई.
You're going to see pick up 2 kills and take out your game 1 winners. Now
1v3 कर दिया था almost.
You know, they played it great, playing for points, not starting off too soon and being too aggressive in these early games right here.
Yeah, but crazy to see them taking out the champs in the first game to start things off. And then, of course, coming over the last couple moments of this game, things get absolutely
actually, I want to pause it right here because you see the instant kills coming out. So that was Fnatic dying over there by that box. I almost tried to get that clip for you guys, but they were getting burned alive. Now, play that clip some more there, Nate. And
taken out by the thermite.
Exactly, right. Taken out by the thermite up there on the box. So now you're going to see Gambit. They get into this engagement with G2. Now, a few players from Gambit is going to go down now, trying to clean up some kills and get these points. But then we're going to go on through just a little bit more. We're going to find this into a 1v2 situation here. Let's go and scroll on through. This is Gambit getting taken out there. Play that for me one more time, Nate.
Yeah, coming up, and of course, as we were talking about this, the third-party thing becomes a huge factor as they finally get into this fight, coming up, trying to get those heals, but some of the really aggro plays, we had him, Gambit trying to hold on this low ground position. He comes up, and he's going to step up to the plate and get himself into that 1v2. Yep. He's trying to land his shots on these targets. He's got multiple bogeys that he needs to go after, and of course, that's when the opportunity arises for the other players. He's going to be able to get up into this fight, and that's when you get up.
उसने थर्स्ट क्यों किया? उसके पास बुलेट्स नहीं था तो पॉइंट्स कलेक्ट करने के लिए कि अगर मैं थर्स्ट कर दूंगा तो मेरे को पॉइंट मिल जाएगा और पॉइंट अभी फर्स्ट राउंड में पॉइंट चाहिए जो अभी स्टार्टिंग का क्वालिफायर्स राउंड है उसमें तुमको पॉइंट्स के चलते तुम राउंड 2 में जाओगे.
You guys saw beforehand.
इसको मालूम था कि वो मरने वाला है तो उसने थर्स्ट करके एक पॉइंट ले लिया.
Players trying to see who can get the best of each other. Now as they come on, you're going to start to see this Wraith come on over and Wraith on out behind him.
And he's going to break that armor. And we talked about it. He comes, steps up, and he's going to have the guts to pull up this box, get that armor swap at the absolute last second. Woo. And we see going for the first melee hit, comes up, doesn't have the ammo, and goes for the punch to end it. What more an exciting way could you want the match?
He tries to give him a 1-2.
पहला में तो अपना कोरियन टीम ऑलमोस्ट जीत गया था शेली और ये लोग, बट सेकंड आए वो लोग और दूसरा में अभी ये जीता.
Thanks so much.
अरे क्या नाम है G2 Esports वो भी जानता है मुक्ता से मार के जीता.
Kौन?
Look me in the eyes and be like,
हाँ ये ग्रुप ए का चल रहा है ना ग्रुप बी ग्रुप सी ग्रुप डी 4 ग्रुप है ना 80 टीम है ना
एसी वगैरह खेल रहे हैं ना
हाँ हाँ लेकिन इसमें नहीं खेल रहे हैं सेकंड राउंड में शायद खेलेगी और थर्ड सब बोल रहे थे कि ग्रुप सी सबसे हार्ड है क्योंकि मोस्ट ऑफ द टॉप टीम जो है वो ग्रुप सी में है बट एनर्जी और टीएसएम एक ग्रुप में नहीं है इतना मेरे को मालूम
And to start this off with those two matches, let alone a punch out in the end of game number 2 to decide it. These have been fantastic results so far, and like I said at the end of last game, very different from the competitive finishes we have seen, especially at X Games.
Yeah, and I think the one interesting thing, you know, already unfolding is we've already talked about some of these teams we expected to do well, right? Fnatic is holding true to their play style and performance, I feel like, across the board. But the one that I think is like the most interesting based on what we've gotten so far, we got to highlight Wyvern walking away with the most dominant start, and then they were 15, like they dropped so early.
That armor swap holy fuck anxiety level over 9000. Dude, that P20 1v3 R99 spray, okay? Then he knew कि उसके पास बुलेट नहीं है वो नहीं मार पाएगा तीसरे बंदे को P20 से तो उसने थर्स्ट किया पॉइंट्स के लिए क्योंकि क्वालिफाई करना है राइट और उसके बाद G2 ने चलते G2 बॉट्स और वो फनाटिक का लॉन्गबो जो वो माउंटेन पे पूरी HSL को खाली कर दिया होलो से होल कर दिया ब्रो
And it clearly played out that way already. So now the question is, how many other teams maybe have that trait? Does G2?
Exactly. We're heading into game number 3 right now. We're going to go ahead and jump into the action. This is match 3 of 3 for Group A. And once again, to give you a landscape here, G2 in first place with 26, narrowly in the lead over Gambit and Wyvern, tied for second with 25. Fnatic and HSL tied with 17. And then Luminosity with 16, Alliance with 15. So that top 7.
Oh, third round started?
And it's important. Only the top 10 have
last round, boys.
Onto the winners bracket, but it is a double elimination. So if your favorite team does end up placing after this game in the bottom 10, know that they still have an opportunity to compete and still claim to be one of the best here as we hit the ground with BDS Esports.
Yeah, we saw just now a little Thunderdome drop for the other side, but now BDS can be flying in and see what they can grab here. Over.
Oh, nice blue armor.
Also, got to talk about. In a minute, the
oh, that guy was playing on 90 FOV. जिसका अभी दिखा रहा था वो 90 FOV पे खेल रहा था.
The command center, what you guys are seeing across the map.
Nate, thank you so much, gentlemen. Yeah, we've been keeping our eyes on our champions where everybody has been.
Oh, वो देखा रस्सी लेके जंप किया कैसे?
Right back to the swamps that we were talking about. Wyvern's heading over down towards by Hydro Dam. And following G2, they went straight.
Hydro Dam को दी अपने Asian team.
On over, they're going to be at containment. Above them is going to be complexity. They're going to be in artillery tunnels over there. So no quick engagements. This is game number 3. All these teams need to get the points needed to get into that top 10 and go on to the winner's side of the bracket. So once again, Brav and Dread, take it away.
Blaze and Nate, thanks so much for the breakdown. You did hear complexity there up north at Artillery. We have seen them dropping Repulsor and Scrim, so interesting to see them all the way up north. We have to talk about the bubble dread when we look at who is going to advance through here, who can advance through here. Mathematically,
everyone to some extent, right, has the opportunity if you sit on the lower half of the bracket. But the interesting part is in that like 9 through 14 range, which is at the breaking point on who makes it to the winner versus losers bracket.
Yes, we are looking at complexity in 9th with 10, Triumph with 8 there. As we take a look, Athame and Kassar Red all with 8, and Team Liquid White, excuse me, all with 8 points. So that bubble could not be closer. And like we said, if you look at a team at the bottom, maybe Astral, maybe Chaos, SJP2, North, making a huge run here, they could even break into the top 10 as well. As a reminder, if you do place out of the top 10 here, you will head to the losers bracket, while the rest of our top 10 teams will continue on in the winners bracket later today.
And this is our deciding match for Group A. There is no other opportunity to set yourself apart from the pack. And you know, if you need a little bit of a TLDR, those numbers, you don't like them, you're like, I don't.
Okay, focus on game.
Easiest way to look at it. We got 5 teams that are 1 kill apart from deciding if they're actually going to make it to that winners bracket. And that is absolutely crucial towards
EST का तो पिछले गेम में भाई बहुत गंदा हुआ भाई इनके साथ इनको तो दौड़ा के मारा.
Later on will really help out.
Absolutely. Now still checking in with Astral Esports.
Prowler चला रहा है.
Team right now, 1 point on the board. It would take quite a special performance from them to break into that top 10. But keep in mind, they are actually only 8 points away from the 10th spot. So even though these are 3-game sets,
oh, नया वाला void आया.
Really, at the end of most of our 3-game sets, barring any crazy numbers, each team is still going to be in a position to advance through.
And one way that I always try and convey it to people is that unlike a majority of tournaments in esports, when you look at the formats, when you're like, I'm in last place, what are the odds that I can do any amount of dent in my final game to recover? One thing to think is BRs only have so many points available. And more importantly, if you take the lion's share of those points, you're denying others. It's actually, it double downs on your success that you have. It's almost near exponential. And so because of that, what I'm trying to highlight is if you're in last, you have the best chances of actually making that shift in BRs than any other esport, any other format. And so it's
लड़ाई start हो गई EST.
Absolutely. Now taking a look back at Estral, as you see they're trying to
पिछले बार भी EST starting में ही धुला गई थी.
That battle there to the west, and they're going to instead cycle back. Lots of damage coming in there for Chicken McPappy, which is a fantastic
Chicken Pappy. Chicken McPappy.
I can tell you, I don't know what it is, but I want one.
Yeah.
That's all I know here is give me a Chicken McPappy.
Chicken McPappy with fries, if you can.
Okay, that's the American answer.
Maybe two.
We're in Poland. With maybe pierogi? With pierogi. I want pierogi.
You're right. I shouldn't have said fries. Yeah.
Grow up a little bit here. Anyways,
hey, we had some great pierogi, some great kielbasa. We've had some fantastic stuff that Krakow has had to offer. But now checking in with Kessar Generation Red, and they're going to be pushing out of labs. Right now, it looks like they are alone here.
Oh, वो labs को रख रहे हैं मतलब.
Send up labs though and take a look at the ring. There's a reason they've done that.
Understandably so, considering that final ring, and it is going to be very, very interesting if we do find ourselves with the lab semicircle. You see the double kind of locked doors here being heavily defended by Quasar.
Yep, I was going to say they've got two sets of blast doors, and they're hiding behind the second one, and both of them are Watsoned up. So we could see them spending quite a bit of time here. We'll have to see exactly where those final rings will be, but for the moment, Exco there, Watson is going to keep dropping as many fences as he can, and he will create a labyrinth of terror for any team that wants to try to come into labs.
Yeah, those have been the worst kind of mazes, absolutely. And here, Quasar is just going to be a slow and steady pace. And to be honest, we've been talking about how we expect teams to be very, very slow at the earlier stages and some of the slowest lobbies that we've got. I thought that the standout performance by Wyvern might be enough.
अब third round फिर से slow हो जाएगा हल्का.
Campbell feel like we're going to see ourselves at a slow pace again.
Yeah, take a look here.
क्योंकि I mean everything matters in this round.
You have that disruptor alt in play. You saw some shots being exchanged.
Oh, 31.
Shots as well on that purple here from Gabe.
Every single bit of damage number अभी मैटर करता है क्योंकि सबके पास शील्ड्स नहीं होते उतने ज़्यादा.
Near perfect accuracy. The longbow's a little bit more forgiving.
क्योंकि कोई मरा नहीं है तो loot is very divided.
Had a lot of damage done on the other side. Not a true story when looking at that scout. So we'll see if maybe Gabe can continue that trend as on the receiving end of his scope was in fact Veinless here for Triumph.
Yes, indeed. Like you said, longbow on this other
टूर्नामेंट में लूट बहुत कम होता है क्योंकि सारी टीम के पास लूट होता है लाइक स्प्रेड होता है ना लूट लाइक पूरा कोई एक टीम ऐसी नहीं रहती जिसके पास बहुत सारा लूट है लाइक क्योंकि उन्होंने मारा है राइट और लाइक उनको मार दिया एंड ऑल दैट.
Yeah. With 9 points, not really a risk that they even need to take at this stage.
But at the same time, complexity resides just one tick above them. So it's one of those moments that if they could somehow identify who they're facing, right, take that down. Right. Again, you're not just helping yourself, you're making sure complexity isn't a name that resides above you in these leaderboards.
Absolutely, a lot of that is going to be going on. Of course, these teams not only having to worry about their placing and the kills they get on the board, but also who they're going up against, who they're spotting. Is that a valuable enough a limb to make those
Longbow is such a royalty right now.
Positioning though for Triumph because they, as we can already see over that next circle, because the Pathfinder just sitting on the side. They also already know that nobody can be advancing from that eastern end. It is a near dead zone because of how long the circle's been there. They've already zoned it out, and so it's going to be fine for them for now. The question is over the next rotation, is that going to be a problem? Not only because of the complexity, but also we know that the lab has a problem kind of waiting there.
There's a bit of a lair waiting at the lab, and I don't think any of these teams is going to want to have to enter what we saw being created at Bottom Labs. But I want to talk about this route and this circle that's starting to develop here, Dreadnought, because you and I have talked a lot about this move west from this eastern corner of the map.
Well, they started rotating already.
Not really a fun one as you get pushed.
Yeah, it has a lot of weird kind of moments that can come to light where once you get past that middle river, you hit yourself in a heavy choke that if you have to move past, if anybody is there, they have a massive high ground advantage and can really just put you in a lose-lose kind of scenario here. Alliance, though, maybe in a bit of one themselves, as we see armor being lost on Lowly and Vifes.
Yeah, absolutely. And Badoli still just running a white, and actually Wife's also just running the white, so they're going to have to play this as slow as possible to try to get themselves into a better circumstance. And to be honest, they probably want to avoid engaging due to that armor situation at all if they can.
Somerset already out here for Gambit Gaming. And Sign
moving back here with the rest of the squad and just going to go ahead and heal up. They're in a fine position, but they're also in the middle of everything. It's just whether or not they can heal back up.
यहीं पे ये लोग सेटअप करेंगे ओपन में
actually defend, because I can't help but feel like the back of this pickup truck is not the place they want to be long term.
Shots are coming in here and they're pinned up. Looks like BDS all's taking them shots over. It looks like Gambit is able to get out of it. And I also want to say, talking to Lucido last night, he was saying at X Games, at this stage of the game, they would run into open areas, Misfits would, and no one would even shoot, right? So there's a little bit of time, especially as teams are playing super careful, where, for example, Gambit is able to get out of that type of situation at this stage in the game.
Yeah, it is very, very interesting, where it's that level of like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Got a bit of a trade there. No armor left here. Sign actually going to be pressured out a little bit more. Eva 8 going to tick out 7, swaps back over to the alternator. Not enough to be able to get the knock, but at least enough to be able to shield up now.
So much intensity. कोई push नहीं करता है. कितना भी armor तोड़ दे, कितना कोई push नहीं करता है.
It does land on that third one.
That will break shells. Looks like Gambit will just come back, and looks like we have seen. It feels like early game Gambit. They have not had an easy road. We've always checked in with them, and they're
either hustle, man. Almost every time we look at them, it's a dark time, but boy, are they doing their darndest.
Well, yeah, 20 squads left, and they're running white armor and in 2v3s, and somehow we're at 6 squads left, and they're still there, generally with their white armor as well. They are resilient, and we're starting to see. Here we are now looking at BDS. They are now up here at top labs and looking down in there, and of course, as you'd expect, KSR Red, they still have their Labs Fortress nice and tuned, and you could bet there's even more fences behind.
Yeah, it's near unapproachable for anybody who wants to make the transfer in. The question I have here for Quasar Generation Red is clearly they are so placement oriented right now. I just wonder, are they risking too much on the point front from the kill aspect because they bunkered up so quickly? Within the lab itself. It just feels like it's one of those concerns I was raising throughout for Fnatic, always through X Games, is are they getting enough kills to really matter here?
Now checking back in with them, here we just see also some action there.
Oh my, supply drop होना चाहिए, Kraber